welcome to Marie+One. I am Marie, and today's plus one is Josh VanLandingham. Hi, Josh. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm doing great.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being my first video guest.
Yeah.
So this is really exciting. Would you like to tell us a little about you and who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Josh VanLandingham. I'm the owner of ABQ Live, the magazine, an agency. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I'm opening a coffee shop, Dia de las Baristas, here in this summer as well in Albuquerque.
You do a lot. I'm actually so impressed, and I'm really happy to have you today because even though you seem to be very eclectic in what you do, I feel like you're very private as a person too. And so I really can't wait to learn to know more about you.
I think it's interesting because the ABQ Live brand is so public, and the things we do are so public, and the events we're part of, that it's been a goal of mine to kind of keep that separated from my private life, because Albuquerque is one big small town, and it's not always easy to do that. So I'm glad I come off that way because it all blends together sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because you, like, on a personal level, you were a really good friend of my husband, Joshua.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I know you a little bit through him.
Sure.
And, you know, how you guys play together or talk or, you know, when we see each other at events and stuff. But other than that, I mean, you seem like a really cool guy. But then it's like, oh, you know, it's kind of like funny. And so, okay, I'm not going to say it 20 times because you're just doing that.
Well, Joshua also, your husband also knows the early days too. So,
yes.
Because he was around when we kind of were getting everything organized and together and saw a lot of the insides and outs and saw the trials and tribulations, right? So he has really good insight into what it used to be like compared to what it is now.
And so have you, so are you Albuquerque born and raised?
No, I'm from a little north in the Jemez Mountains. I grew up in a small community up there, but then I graduated and came to UNM.
Okay.
And then once I came to UNM and graduated from UNM, started working for UNM biology, and then I eventually ended up in at UNMH. I've been here ever since, so lots and lots of years here in Albuquerque, yeah.
Okay. And you think you're going to stay in Albuquerque?
That I don't know, really. I think I'll always have ties here, but as I get older, I never thought I would leave, maybe back to Jemez, but I think I may travel a little bit more as I get more opportunity too. So we'll see what that looks like in the next few years, yeah.
Have you traveled already?
Yeah, but not as much as I'd like to with everything that we do, especially when we're so event-driven. The big, you know, we're here for all the big things, and it's hard to fit my own personal time to go other places when we support so much of what happens here in Albuquerque.
Okay, that makes sense. And so you have, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have a lot. I have 7.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So you beat me.
How many
I have
do you
3 brothers. Well, I have 3 brothers. Oh my God, Marie, really? 3 brothers and 3 sisters.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
So we're 7. But if you have 7 brothers and sisters.
Oh, no, we're 7 total. So,
oh, there we go.
Yeah,
okay.
and we're kind of a mixed family. We got 4 brothers and sisters that from one, my dad and my mom, and then 2 stepsisters, and then a half brother. So there's a bunch of different variety there for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, I have 2 real sisters. I don't like to say that, but then I have the rest of half brothers and sisters.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah, but a whole bunch of a big family.
Yeah,
which is fun. And how was that growing up? Where are you in all the?
I'm kind of in the middle, and it was kind of in sections because my older sisters are 8 and 10 years older. So then me and my brother are only a year apart. So it kind of happened in sections. Okay. So while I'm a middle child, I'm also kind of the older one of that group, if that makes sense. So I kind of grew up as a older sibling. And then my younger brother's only 27 now, I think. So we have a big gap between my older sister and my youngest brother.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I'm the oldest, but I'm going to turn 32, and then the youngest is 18, 19.
Yeah,
so be mad. I'm
yeah.
with his age again. but you know, it's funny because growing up, one time he was like, "Oh, I think it's when I turned 20." No, yeah, he was young, and he was like, "Oh, when I'm gonna turn 20, you're gonna be 40."
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I was like, "No. So wait." let's back up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's cool to be like, it's funny because then I guess you have that figure of like the older brother
Yeah.
or an older brother.
Absolutely.
And I grew up with that too. And is it something that you feel like you have a responsibility? Or
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why there's these so many people fit into those sibling like types, because you end up in scenarios where you do have to lead when you are an older sibling a lot of times. So yeah, there is a lot of responsibility when you have younger siblings, for sure.
Does that translate, you think, in all the projects that you do? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think I ended up the way I am because of the way I was brought up. And it just only makes sense that I ended up in fields like this where I took chances on my own and I lead my own companies and things like that because of the support and the system that I grew up in with my family and extended family, for sure.
And would you like to tell us a little bit more about that? What do you feel worked in the family dynamic that made you who you are today?
I honestly just think there's tons of support. Like, I feel like I had a major advantage with always being able to rely on family members, right? Whether it's my siblings or my parents or my aunt and uncles, that we have a large family that has lots of resources. And while we don't have a ton of money necessarily, there was always just support no matter what we were doing, no matter what I was doing, which I think gave me an advantage to feel like, you know, I was never on my own necessarily, and I could take chances to do my own thing and always have a fallback in case things didn't go right. And I think it's just something I don't ever want to forget, because some people take chances that are, you know, that don't have anything to fall back on and don't have the support that I had. And I think that's a much more difficult way to do things. So I'm very fortunate in that way.
That's really amazing, because I mean, Jemez is a small community.
Yeah.
So how did your family like take it when you left for the big city and then kind of never yet came back or stayed over there?
Oh, they're super.
I mean, it's not far, but
it's not that far, and I think that's what they wanted us to do, right? They knew we were going to go to school. They knew we were going to do different things. We're still an hour away, but you know, especially during school, I was back and forth all the time. So it was never like a question. The community I grew up in, and I know how small communities are sometimes, and there is that pressure to stay, but that's not how we grew up. No. I mean, they really wanted us to branch out and do the things that we wanted to do. My older sister did the same thing. She left when she was 18, and she's lived all over the country and done different things. So I think we never felt that kind of pressure to stay there and have to participate in the things that are going on up there.
It's funny because in a way I feel like that's how my parents, like my dad at least, pushed us. We always grew up watching documentaries about everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And he opened us up to that, and long story short, I visited, my godfather is Belgian but he lives in Texas, and so when I was 18 I went to visit him for a month. And I fell in love with the U.S. I was just in south of the U.S. I was like, this is where I want to live. This is where I want to be. Mind you, if at that time, my older self now could tell myself that I ended up marrying an American and like having a kid and and living here, I would be blown away, I think, but or not believe it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's funny because when I decided to move, when I actually years later I went to Britney Spears concert, met Joshua, and then I told my dad, I'm going to move to the U.S. My dad was like, huh?
Yeah, right.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I was like, wait, no, like you and we talked about this not too long ago together, because I told him, wait, you raised us to explore and discover and leave. And then once we're doing it, then, you know, but of course he's a dad, so he's protective.
Yeah,
and, you know, there's all that. But
and that's a little bit different. I moved an hour away.
Yes.
You moved to a different country, which,
no, that's true.
Yeah, my dad may have been a little more worried about me for sure if I was going to Belgium or something, you know.
So I'm curious to know the beginning of the ABQ Live, the magazine, and then, you know, everything else. Like, how did it start? Because you said you came to do your studies. What did you start with once you graduated? Or is it something that grew with you like early on? Or
this whole thing kind of evolved. It was never a perfectly planned in any scenario. None of my life has been. It's been a series of, I'd say, pivoting depending on what opportunity I was given. And I say we because I have a lot of guys that have worked with me for a long time. So I didn't mention, but back to the family, they're family musicians too. That's the other thing. So I've always been kind of tied into just entertainment and music and those types of things, and had an ear for those types of events and that sort of thing. So when I was working at UNMH, at that point there wasn't a website, and I was in my mid-20s, right? So we were out and about, going to different shows, doing that sort of thing. But at that point, there wasn't a comprehensive list of events somewhere you could find online.
Okay.
Just didn't exist. So I went to a friend of mine who built websites, and I asked if, how hard would it be to create a website where we could start listing events. Mm-hmm. And she was able to do it, and we look back at it now, and it's very rudimentary and very simple, and it was basically a website with it wasn't even a Google Calendar back then. I think it was a Yahoo Calendar, where we put events in, and I would reach out to locations, reach out to venues, and say, hey, I have this website. Can I list your shows? That kind of thing. And we got that up, but then I ran into the problem of, well, how do I let people know that to go onto the site to use it? So then we started, I just took notes from every other marketing I've seen, mostly beer and liquor promotions, and said, okay, well, what if I hire a photographer? We go out, we shoot pictures, we tell people that these pictures will be on the website, and then they can also use the event listings and get people used to the brand and using that sort of thing. And back then it was, I say this a lot, I probably couldn't do things that way now because social media is very pay to play now. Whereas then it was very organic. And if you had something fun, people could share it and it wouldn't be throttled like it is now. And I didn't have a budget to put behind it back then. So if it would have been, it'd be very difficult to create now. It was very grassroots, and just like getting my friends to come out and put a shirt on and like take pictures and tell people about what we were trying to build. And then those photos took off, and we'd get tons of views on all the nightlife imagery and that kind of thing. And the website numbers started building and building. And our social media pages started building, mostly Facebook back then. And at that point, so we did that for a couple of years. And then I had seen somewhere that there was an entertainment publication in San Diego that was purchased by the San Diego Tribune. And I was like, well, wait a minute, we don't have an entertainment publication here. We had The Alibi, we had Albuquerque, the magazine, but those were different types of publications. So we're like, well, what if we try to build one? And again, you look back at it, and those first issues were rough because, we're just figuring it out as we went. We did a teaser issue, then we did a full-blown issue after that, and none of us really had backgrounds in this sort of thing. We were just, trying as hard as we could, and luckily there wasn't much competition in that little niche that was there, and it allowed us to work through the mistakes and build over time. And the magazine went, from 2014 to 2000, really till COVID, and then we started making some changes as far as how often we would do it and different types of things. And then right after COVID, or right before COVID, 2000, probably 18, we started getting opportunities to do more agency work because our social media was so well ran. People started reaching out to us to help them with theirs. That turned into ad buys on our socials, that turned into ad buys in our website, that turned into me helping with, Google ads for clients, or doing billboard buys for them, or just agency work. And now, 2025, that's probably 80% of our work is behind the scenes for other companies. And everybody in the office is creating mostly for everybody else, not for ABQ Live. And it's just been a slow evolution of, like I said, opportunity, where we made pivots and adjustments over time. And when something appeared that we thought we could handle and be effective at, we took those opportunities. So that's a very, quick way to describe almost 15 years of an evolution of a business. Yeah.
It's really interesting because it seems that you have that. I like to say that I believe people have different type of intelligence. I think there is like the social intelligence. You know or you don't like how to really like talk to people, and then there's like the emotional intelligence, and I feel like you also have like the business intelligence to kind of sense when you need to evolve or change certain things, and then meanwhile, I think people are still always gonna, when you go to the dentist or to the barber, because that's where I used to, well, not for me, but for Joshua, when I used to go with him to the barber, that's where mostly I would see your magazine. I think people are still gonna, have those little moments, but social media took over.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything. So yeah, it's about being relevant still and finding new ways and I think that's very smart of you, because you stay relevant and you're creating your own events too.
Sure. Yeah, we host our own stuff. Yeah.
Which is also really fun to see evolve, because for the Albuquerque crowd, of course, there is the Winter Wonderland.
Yeah. Right.
That's been like also evolving over the years, and
right, and that was kind of a branch of what we were doing, because that Corey Kobayashi, who's my partner in the magazine, during COVID came up with the idea to create Winter Wonderland.
Heck yeah, okay.
Because we couldn't, everything was shut down. We didn't have any clients really, so that first year we went out and built a drive-through Christmas show. Now that's branched off, and that's his project. We support it on the ABQ Live side. My responsibilities are a lot of like the relationship building and the sponsorships and things like that, whereas he's the brains behind the whole show that you see out there and builds all the sets and does all that sort of thing. Okay. But that's another kind of a branch off of the things that we were doing, and just an opportunity that he actually saw to take advantage of that I probably wouldn't have seen without him bringing up. And that's a massive event now. We've had it 5 years. It's at Expo New Mexico now. Thousands of people come through. It's a giant show.
It is. We love it. We went this year, and for the first time with our baby in the car, the waiting in line first in the car was rough.
Yeah.
Especially because I think my son was like, a little over a year at that point, and so he was a little, getting a little fussy. But then he saw all the lights, and then I have super fun videos of him just wowing the whole round. Yeah. And then we met inside, because then we went and we took a little picture with Santa, which was his first Santa picture. So thank
beautiful!
You.
Yeah, yeah.
That was very fun.
It's funny. We have some families that have 5 years of pictures of Santa, and they'll send us pictures of them like on their fridge or whatever, because they come every year, and that kind of thing really makes it, when you step back from it and see it all, it makes it really worth it for sure.
So would you describe yourself as more like an introvert or an extrovert or a mix of both?
Honestly, like I described when we sat down, I think I'm typically an introvert, but I'm in scenarios so often that I have to step outside of that a little bit. Although I still wouldn't call myself I'm still an introvert, but I'm just forced into situations where I have to communicate and I have to engage, and we're half of my life I feel like is meetings at this point, so I'm communicating with people all the time. So I guess I kind of my private life, I'm very introverted. Except for with very close friends or people I know. And then my public life, I have to have a different persona on the business side. So I kind of float between both, I guess. Yeah.
How do you handle that without,
years of practice. Like, it didn't come naturally. Like, especially coming from a small town and then trying to do my own thing here. Like, it just takes lots of repetition and being in scenarios. I've been in thousands of meetings at this point, and I think it's not, any of those skills are just learned over time, and you try to get better all the time at it. It's definitely not something that's super comfortable for anybody, I would say, early on.
And it's funny, because then it seems that it was almost like meant to be for you, also coming from a small town but a big family.
Sure.
So it was already kind of like the opposites of Yeah, the introvert you are in private, but then you also have to be
Yeah.
extrovert with
And again,
a
my
big
family were musicians, so they're not introverts. So I also know the personality types. So yeah, like I was set up for success in a lot of ways with the way I grew up. Absolutely. That made things significantly easier for me.
And do you also play an
Yeah,
instrument?
but
Or?
not to the level that they do. They, like my little brother Austin, has played since he was 4 years old, and then that's what he's wanted to do since he was 4. We always joke around because I think from like 3 to like 8 years old, he dressed up as Elvis for every Halloween, right? So there was never a doubt what he ever wanted to do. But me, I kind of floated around, did a lot of different things. So play, yeah, but entertain like them, no.
No. Is it something that you ever think you would do in the future, or?
Yeah, I think I'm still connected in that way. Like that, we all kind of play. We all get together. I still write music. Like that's still part of my life. My dad was a writer and a singer. Like all those things are a part of how I grew up. So it's not like it's not something I partake in. I just mean like to the level that they do it, I don't do it.
It it's funny because just the way you said it right now, it kind of like jumping from one thing to another, but
It's okay.
I was just talking with Joshua the other day because I had the realization because we have a little son that's almost 2 now, and unfortunately, I mean, I don't know even if you want to talk about it or not, but like my grandmothers, I don't have grandfathers. They're unfortunately they passed a couple years ago now, but I still have 2 grandmothers, and they're not doing really well.
Sure.
And I'm far, and so it's really,
yeah,
really
that's
rough.
difficult.
But also, it's the realization as you grow older to realize that you're slowly the higher generation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yep.
And it's like, okay, my grandparents, okay, so I'm the parent now, and my parents are the grandparents, and so you're getting slowly to like the higher level of that ladder, and it's like, I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah.
And seeing also, my brothers and sisters grow, because in my head they're still little,
Yep.
and then I see my brother, he's starting military, and he's all like bulk up, he looks like Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I'm like, I don't know. And he takes pictures like, half naked. And I'm like, no, this is not okay.
Yeah.
So, this realization of we're all getting older and we're the adults now.
Yeah,
and I
right.
feel like for a long time, I kind of always saw myself as still a teenager.
Yeah.
Or even if like sorry about that, the student jobs I was doing, or like before I left Belgium, I was a budget expert at Procter & Gamble, and I was the newbie in the team, and I was 18, and all my colleagues were like 20 years older than me, and I was like, oh my God, this is not, like, I don't want to, like, this is not where I want to be in 20 years, and then moving here, I did little jobs, and I was always the youngest, and then now I'm a clerk, I work at the post office, and it's the first time that my team is kind of like same age-ish as
it's
me,
different, right?
and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, wait a second. And, huh?
Yeah.
I liked being the young one.
Yeah, for sure.
And so how do you, is it something that you ever like thought about, or that
Oh,
crossed your
all the
mind?
time.
Or
All the time, because I think it's just the generational change that we go through. And then all of a sudden, it feels like a blink of the eye, you're the older guy when you're so used to being, I started a business at 28, so I was mostly younger. And even when I was at UNMH, I was 10 years younger than most of the people in the department I was in. So it's very similar in that way. And I'm constantly reminded, because most of my staff at ABQ Live is like 22 and 23. So the gap between, like, for instance, when Joshua was an intern, the gap wasn't that large between me and him, right? And we had very similar upbringings, things like that. So I think that's why we became fast friends. Now I bring an intern in, and there's a significant gap. And I see it every day with, just the way they do things compared to the way I do things. And it makes that realization very apparent when there's that drastic difference between, I'm 42 and they're 24 now, which is wild.
wow.
So I see it every day. Yeah, I'm reminded all the time of it. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm here like reminding you. you one more time, just for the cameras. But no, and see, again, I think that's very smart of you, because to still be there and have your, I can't say wise because that sounds really old, like you being wise. But then also the young people just bringing in that freshness and that
energy is really
energy
important.
and that other understanding of social media.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
I tried like different things. I think, I don't know, I feel like in a way we're similar with that is, I think I have a million ideas every day of stuff I want to start, I want to do. I see a million things on social media, and I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I can do that. Oh my God. But wait, what?
Yeah.
Selling magnets and making millions? I can do that too. And I tried, like I started sewing, and I tried, making like custom stuff and la la la. And then I stopped because I had a baby, and then I wanted to make custom shirts. So I even bought a press that I ended up sending back because I was like, okay, I try to center myself sometimes, but something that I'm really passionate about is talking to people and learning to know about them, and I think that's something I meant to do somehow. But
and that's why I ended up here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just forgot what I was going.
I did want to mention it. I think it is important. You mentioned that it's smart, right? That we keep the younger group, but I think it has to be that way. We have to be connected to that generation and the people coming through. And Joshua was an intern right through UNM, and I've had interns for over 10 years, and they're kind of the lifeblood underneath of everything that ABQ Live does, because you need that energy, you need those different ideas, you need the different perspectives, or else I think things can become really stale really fast. As we get older, I feel like no matter how hard you try, you get more stubborn, you get more, the things you do are the things you do. And without them, we just wouldn't be successful. And I don't really want to say it's a smart thing. It's just the way that things have to be.
Yeah, but see, for me, it is smart, because I think that's also why so far it's hard for me to not like succeed. And I don't want to put like, it like that, but I feel like I'm lacking that, because in my head, of course you see social media under your point of view or prism. I don't know how I would say that in English, but and so for me, I'm like, oh, people don't like that, or they're not interested in this, or or I'm following a lot of people even from Belgium, like vloggers and stuff. And I started. I have a million videos on my phone already. I'm supposed to have started vlogging about the podcast, which I'm really hoping it's gonna come out. Some videos are pretty funny. But all that to say is, you see people on social media doing certain things, and it looks so easy to do.
Yeah,
and it's not.
No.
And I think for me, the staying alone is, I think, a mistake to not involve other people to be part of it and helping me. But at the same time, it's really hard to find people that have the same energy, or that have the same vision. And so it's how big is your team right now?
We're as big as we're bigger than we've ever been, but we also are not just starting. Right?
Of course.
So I think when Joshua could tell you, when he was in the office, there was like 3 of us, and I was mostly working on favors back then. So like it's a lot different 15 years down the road when, we have structure and positions and things we've worked on over time. So the support is there as far as the number of people we have in the office, but we have, probably 6 in office every day. We have a handful of contracting photographers that we've used for years. Joshua was one of them for a long time. And then we also have internships through CNM and UNM. We work with Workforce Solutions to bring in pre-apprenticeship sometimes. So there's just a lot of that kind of structure that allows us to bring in new faces all the time. It's not like where you're in a position where you're gonna have to network and go find the people. We've done it so long that people will find our brand. So it's a lot easier down the road than it is to just get going. All my friends and family would tell you when I first started, I'm not afraid to ask for help. And I put them in positions to help me all the time because I was in the same position. It's hard to find somebody who doesn't know you, doesn't know what you're building, doesn't have the same passion for it or care about it like you do, to get them involved and go the same direction at the same time. So it's difficult to start for sure.
It's funny you mentioned that because it made me think of growing up. I mean, like we said, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree for some stuff, but my dad also really busy all the time, but he started a association to help poor people and homeless people. And so he was alone when he started it, but so he was like, okay. So and I at the time I was doing a bachelor in management assistant, so he was like, oh, you know you know how to write emails, you know how to write letters, and so you're gonna be my management assistant basically. And so that's what I was for my dad for a long time. But then also, you know, my brothers and sisters, like all of us would be the little hands and just you know, behind the scene and just helping. That's also what family means to me too, is just being there and helping.
Supporting everybody.
So it's funny. I feel like that we don't know each other, but it's
very similar.
Yes, and then maybe somehow we're related too, because you might be a part Belgian somewhere.
Maybe so.
Because for those who doesn't know, my maiden name is VanLandingham, and I'm Belgian from Belgium, and part Dutch and all that.
There might be some relation there somewhere. I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I don't like to say I'm also part French, because we don't like French people from France. But
got it.
So no, it's really interesting. Where, with all that evolution, where do you see yourself in that ABQ life in like the coming years? Where do you see even ABQ life evolving? Or
I'll tell you this, I've never been good with like 5-year plans. People ask me that when I started, and I've never been, it's not like I have a clear vision for almost anything. Like my mind doesn't really work that way. It almost doesn't feel tangible to think about 5 years in advance, for better or for worse. That's probably not the best practice, but that's just kind of how I am. I really take the pulse of what we're doing on a day-to-day, a month-to-month, and year-over-year, and try to make assessments and adjustments that way. And then me personally, I've obviously got involved with different businesses over the years, different partnerships. I'm always open to doing that. At one point, I had owned a bar with other partners, so I've done that as well. So like, my eyes are always open for opportunity. And as I get older, I don't want to always be doing the things I'm doing now. And I do, like I said before, I want to travel a little bit more. I want more time for myself. Where that is exactly, I don't know. But I know, I trust in the process, and I trust in myself enough to know that if I'm going the right direction and my mindset is right, that I'll find where that fits and make that decision when it's coming up. The other thing is, I don't really like the pressure that puts on people. You're setting an expectation without knowing any of the variables over the next 5 years, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
And all I can say with personal experiences too is that you never know, even like 6 months from now.
It's hard to know.
I mean, when I went to Las Vegas to see Britney Spears, I laughed with my brothers and sisters, and I said, "Oh, I'll marry an American in Vegas," and and I didn't ending up marrying him in Vegas,
but I met him in Vegas, right?
I met him there, and so I strongly believe in the power of attraction and the mindset you put in stuff. And that's also why, for me personally, this past year has been like crazy, mind blowing, and also like hard to read, because I mean, I've been before. Now I'm a USPS employee, but that came in November out of nowhere. Like, I applied many times, and then I applied for that specific position in August and didn't hear back. So I was like, all right. And then I was a contractor for USPS before that for a good year and a half, and then I was subbing for other contractors because I was like, oh my God, 6 days a week, I can do that, I cannot do that. And then now I have a son, so no. And then the day that I think I contacted you that day for an episode, and you had said yes, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I was like, okay, so the podcast, like, I really truly feel, again, sorry about that, but like that's my calling. And so I was like, oh my God. And then that afternoon, I got an email from USPS saying, if you want the position, it's yours. So I was like, universe. what are you trying to say? And
Yeah.
so it's been like up and down, and it's been crazy because then I went to see my family for 3 weeks for Christmas. That was amazing too. And I wanted
Yeah.
to interview people there too because I was like, oh my
Sure.
God, I can also interview in French, of course, because that's my mother language.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of super interesting people over there too. And I was like, oh, and it didn't work because 3 weeks to visit my family
yeah.
ended up being not enough.
Yeah, for
to
sure.
see everyone.
Catch up on everything.
But then I'm back and I was like, oh my God, I needed to get a hold of it all. And then so now it's working out and I'm just, beyond excited. And that's why for me, like personally, I don't know where I'm going to be in 6 months. And I have a good position right now and stable. But I think in life, sometimes stable is not, how do you say that? How can I say that? Like, it's not my go-to. And I'm excited about a lot of other projects and stuff.
Sure.
And I feel like, I'm always like, excited to try something else. And,
Right.
and so I feel like, when I heard that you were going to open a coffee shop, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What you like, I want to be in your head for 5 minutes because I feel like you have like a million like different ideas. And after, being, or having a little passion with your family, with music, and then starting the magazine, who's becoming more like a social media, handling agency.
Yeah.
And now a coffee shop?
We've been working on that for like 3 years.
Okay. Do you like coffee?
Sure. This is actually a bikini coffee shop.
Okay.
So it's a little niche. They work up and down the West Coast. There's a big one in Arizona now. So it's not all just about the coffee. It's also fast service drive-through. It's not like a lounge or anything. So it'll be built more like a Dutch Brothers type of thing for volume and drive-through. But when you ask about being in my head for 5 minutes, like, again, I just always have my eyes out for opportunity when it shows itself. Although I have an advantage. I don't have a 2-year-old, right? I don't have a bunch of things that tie me down. I can make decisions for myself very easily and pivot very easily. So I feel for people that do have a bunch of responsibilities that also are passionate about a bunch of different things, because that's a lot more complicated as a scenario. I am busy all the time.
I agree.
I'm busy all the time, which I'm used to it and I really enjoy. I kind of get bored when I slow down. I like to have a lot of different things going on. But it does make it significantly easier when I can change my mind and do something tomorrow that wouldn't affect anybody else, So I have a lot of advantages in that way.
I agree. And at the same time, like right now, my father is like getting older and he's also realizing that. And he's like, oh my God, he's been working. Funny enough, he works for the post office in Belgium. I'm like, all right. So already that was already growing up. Like I was I don't know if it's the same like funny thing in America, but in Belgium we say that you're like the postman's daughter. So it's like, I don't know. There's a funny joke. I can't really translate it. It's not funny. All that to say that all of a sudden, like I ended up somehow like linked again to, and it's funny because see, again, like growing up, my dad, I wanted to be a lawyer because my parents divorced. They were not married, they separated, but there were so many things that happened. That's a really deep conversation maybe for another time. But
it influenced what you wanted to be.
Yes, and I wanted, to dig into the justice system and help other people and all that. And then I grew and I went to law school and I failed the first year 3 times in a row. And I thought maybe it's not what I'm meant to do. Yeah. Because also like, being a part of a big family, I don't know how it worked for you, but for me, I was involved in helping my parents a lot. So it was really hard to study and being part of the family dynamic. And so I shifted completely to management assistant, which I never wanted to be behind a desk doing management assistant stuff. But I was like, it's a bachelor, I'll have a degree. And they were like, oh, the outcome is like you have a job in the 3 months after having your degree. So I was like, sure, let's do that. And I ended up being a budget expert. I applied for management assistant at P&G, and last minute they called me and they were like, actually it's not open anymore, but we have this budget expert position open. Mind you, my accounting teacher for the 3 years of my bachelor was sick. And so they were like, oh, are you good with numbers? And I was like,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think like you, I like a good challenge. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll take it. And so
Figure it out.
I figured it out. But then life got me to and I agree with you, because then when I met Joshua and we had the opportunity for me to move here and get married and all that good stuff, fiance visa. I didn't make the show, but I don't think I would have made that. I would have wanted to make the 90 Day Fiance show. All of a sudden I was just like, no, I'm gonna go. And my family, everybody was like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like, why? And so right now, all that to circle back to, my dad is getting older, and he's like, oh my God, like, he dedicated his life to his family, his children, his whole life. And so he's been working at the post office now forever. And he's like, wait, is that it? You know?
Sure.
And he's like, no, I want to travel. I want to
do
move.
other things.
Yeah. And so, and I'm like, do it. Just do it. It doesn't matter. Like, follow what you want, because, and then that's why I don't really agree with you when you say, okay, some people have and they do have responsibility and stuff. But I think to a certain extent, there's always a way.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, and of course, I'm not saying please nobody quit their job today to follow their path because of me. But I just feel like life is so short, and there's so many things to do, so many things to see that that's why I'm like, you know, when I have an opportunity to, I'm like, my favorite movie is Yes Man.
Oh, sure.
I love Jim Carrey, first of all. But then I just love that movie because, that movie is essentially also like him just ending up saying yes to everything.
Yeah, and getting lots of opportunities.
Yes, and some stuff don't work out, and that's okay. That's life. But then you know, it brings you to meet other people and see other things, and from a bad situation for me, which was, in a nutshell, like I got kicked out of my parents, and all of a sudden I was alone, and I was like, wait, but I'm a Britney Spears fan since I'm 6, and she was ending her residency, and I was like,
I'll go do this thing.
Yes.
And then you ended up here.
And I met Joshua. And so, you know, it's like, all right, I think, you know, it's sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone or follow your dreams. And so, And
I don't mean it that people shouldn't.
No, of course not.
I absolutely do. If you're passionate about things, I think you should do your best to try and figure out ways to end up there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I know that it was easier for me.
Yeah.
And I'm very aware of that. I've seen people do amazing things that have full families and lots of responsibilities. Like, it's very possible. It's just
hard.
It's just a little more difficult. There's more variables to account for. Yeah.
And is there a special someone in your life right now?
No, that is the thing about what I do and my schedule and that sort of thing. Like, lots of people say they're busy. That's just a common thing to say. When people get around me, they really know what busy is. And it's hard to do the relationship thing when there's not very much time for it.
Which is also okay, because I feel like society sometimes just pressure you
to
be with someone.
I'm happy as I've been on forever. So it's not one of those things that I'm definitely not one of those people that has to be in a relationship to be fulfilled. Okay. Like, fulfillment comes from a lot of different things for me. And it's always felt like the relationship proponent of life should be supportive of all the passions, and not the other. I think lots of people do it the other way around. And that will come when it's supposed to. I'm definitely open to it, but it's not something I feel pressure to do in any way.
That is good to know, just in case.
Yeah.
For people listening. I'm kidding, but you never know, you know?
Sure, you never know.
I don't have a big audience yet, but, you know a lot of people, so I mean, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
And let me see. I had a bunch of questions I wanted to ask you, and so. For that coffee shop, if you want to talk about it a little bit more, is it something that you like? How did that idea come from? Because I know you said it's like a niche, and it's something that we don't have around here in Albuquerque.
Yeah, it's just something that we saw. Even back when I had the bar, I'd already seen the brands that were being really successful. I think the bar helped me realize all the overhead that comes with a restaurant and a bar restaurant scenario. And these coffee shops really cut a lot of that out. So you can do, and that's why you see even like the big change, like Starbucks have less and less lounges and more drive-through, because they're cutting a lot of the things that cost them money. Having a bunch of employees, having a bunch of overhead makes things more difficult. So being able to experience the things I did with the bar, which I'm very grateful. I was, again, the youngest one in that group, and like getting to do the things and learning a lot of the stuff that I got thrown into, gave me a perspective on what I would do next and how I would do it better. And that led me to the coffee project in a lot of ways, because of the efficiency of it and the way they can be successful. And they can, especially these products, can be, even on the marketing side, it can be very direct and clear and use social media to their advantage. All those things line up very, very easily with the things that I've already done for clients.
Yes,
and the world I'm in. So it's not a giant leap for me in any way.
Okay.
It was just kind of the next opportunity that came about. Yeah, and then I'm hoping the first one should open in May. We're already looking at another building in China Hills to have another one, and I'd like to build it as, I work really closely with the Chiba Hut guys that own, Chiba Hut guy really owns the franchise, and I really want to build it in the way that they do their franchise opportunities. So we'll see if we get there to that level. They're huge, obviously, but we at least have a ground level to what I'd like to see it turn into.
And it's funny in a way, because I feel like it's very trendy right now, like coffee shops.
Oh, for sure.
But especially with lounge, like a lounge space. So yours won't have one, which is also then particular to yours. And I feel like, because I hear a lot of even people that tell me, oh, a podcast, but there's already so many, and it's like, yeah, but. I don't remember who said that, but I think there's like a saying that says, that's a lot of saying, that there's so many like burger places, and so why open another one? Well, I think there is a spot for everybody, and it's exactly that example of there is a million different burger spots. Meanwhile, they all seem to be working because they're also still open, and they all have their particularities. But so. What would you say? I mean, I guess the obvious particularity of yours would be the women.
Yeah, for sure.
In bikini.
We know exactly what it is like. That's very, especially because it's the first one in New Mexico or Albuquerque. So I think we still have to be great at everything we do.
Are you going to roast your own coffee?
No, not yet. We're the buildings are too small for that, but we will eventually be vertically integrated in that way. But we still have to have really good coffee. We have to have really, really standout service. Like it's super important to what we're doing. The marketing has to be good. Everything has to be clean. And I think if you set that base level, of course, it's also still girls in bikinis. So I think that will only get you so far, though, right? That'll get people to pay attention, and it'll probably get people to come look at it and try it. Right. But in Albuquerque especially, you have to have return customers. You have to have loyalty over time. And the other things build that, the quality of the product, the engagement with the people, the service, that's what builds long-term success. So while we know what the niche is, you have to be great in a lot of different areas to be as successful as I want these to be. Right. And I think that goes with just anything we're doing. There, I think people worry a little bit too much about competition sometimes. I mean, you need to pay attention to it to a degree, but even like in our office, I'm constantly just trying to lead in the way that as long as we are great at what we do and we're passionate about what we do and the stuff that we come out is really good, we're gonna be fine, no matter what else is out there. As soon as that starts to falter, then competition's a problem because they're better than you, right? But if you can operate at a level, competition isn't a huge deal in my mind. I think people get caught up in that sometimes.
That makes sense, and especially, I mean, in your business, in your area, I want to say, I mean, the marketing for, I guess maybe, is there, other people in Albuquerque that do that help? Because I feel like, are you okay? This doesn't make sense. Let's start again.
There's other marketing agencies. Sure.
Yes, but I mean, I guess your niche a little bit too. Is it more like local small businesses, or are you also branching out to bigger
We're also
companies?
we're very unique. So we
Okay.
carved a niche that's super unique. I didn't even know how unique it was because it's unique in the whole Southwest. Because most agencies don't have front-facing brands.
No, yeah.
So we have our own things, and we don't really even talk about them all the time. But you talked about the events we throw
Yeah.
and the different things we do individually from our brand and our social media pages that are significant. Most agencies don't have that. Most agencies are just behind the scene managing everybody else's.
Mm-mm.
So we're definitely the only one that does that here. And again, it wasn't planned that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it just worked out that way because we were building our own brand anyway, and then we pivoted to do other things. So we've found that niche like area to be successful that's very different than everybody else. On the coffee side, there's millions, so many coffee shops, right? And so many big brands that will just, can do high volume and do different things. So we need to do the same thing on that side. We need to be successful in the niche that we're in and not worry too much about the ones that aren't even in the same niche as
No,
us.
that's true, but I feel like you also come in a time where people want to consume more and more local.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like, and branch out of the big brands.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So I think that's very smart. Personally, as a European, I'm always a little skeptical about the women in bikini. That's just my point of view.
Sure.
But I mean, I think that's also the beauty about America, and that's the one of the first things that my family said when they came to visit me here. They were so shocked about how you could go to the store or walk on the street and just see people in PJs and not give a crap, and or dressed half naked, and nobody would look at them, and nobody cares. The way that in Europe you're constantly being looked at, like from head to toe and judged and stuff, and so they love that. They're like, and I was like, I love that too.
Yeah, right.
And especially because for me, I live like in Edgewood, like on the other side of the San Diego, and I mean, our Walmart is so quiet. It's you can literally just go in flip-flops and in PJs and really nobody cares, and you probably not even going to see anyone really either way, but or not a lot of people, but and so even though I think that a concept like that would not work in Europe.
Sure, I don't think so. It's a very American thing.
Yes, it thrives here, but also because, I mean, unless I'm wrong and I'm just like completely like fantasizing this thing, but I feel like there's also another way of like I feel like women own their femininity
for sure,
more or better, or they don't care, and it's not really just sexualized, but it's just
right. I think it's more about power and and empowering these women to be successful in the environment that we're creating. Absolutely.
Are you expecting a lot of people just driving through just to like get a glance?
I think early on, because it's going to be new and people won't know what's going on. But we'll get through that pretty fast. I think that'll be just like the introduction to it. And then we'll build, like I said, loyalty after that and see what it does. I could be wrong. We could be slow, but I doubt it. I've seen what these do in other markets, and I think we'll be just fine here.
I'm really impressed, honestly, and I mean, is there any other ideas you have in the back of your head that are like cooking right now, and you're thinking of?
We're working with New Mexico Escape Room is one of my really close clients.
Okay.
The stuff they do is incredible. They're beyond talented. If you've never been to an escape room, make sure you go to that one. It'll set the bar so high.
Okay.
We just did a conference with them in St. Louis this year. Went out and saw haunted house, and haunters are close with that whole realm is also connected to escape rooms. So we went out to the biggest one in the country, I think. It was huge in St. Louis. There was also a Christmas show too, so it made sense for us with Winter Wonderland. And I got to see things that I never, I had no idea from the outside looking in. So we're talking to them about some potential projects to maybe partner on and different things that I think would be really cool for Albuquerque. We'll see which direction those go. Those are probably 3-4 years out. But it's exciting for me because I love that stuff. I love escape rooms. I love the level that they create as far as like if you go see it, it's like Universal Studios.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like level to detail and just things they put into it. And the conference was mind blowing. So there's a lot of stuff on that horizon that started triggering things for me after I saw it all. And Darren, the owner, told me that was going to happen. As soon as you go to this conference, like get ready because your mind's going to start rolling on these things. So there's some things there. On the ABQ Live side, we're expanding. We just took over marketing for like Green Jeans and Tin Can Alley and big establishments like that. I think they'll get more. We'll have more and more opportunity for those. We do all the big shows, so I'm sure that will continue to grow. But there's not. Once we get the coffee shop open, which again has been 3 years in the making, so it feels like an eternity. We'll see which direction that goes as well. But nothing that's like we're going to start this at next month or something.
Yeah. It seems like it's a long process to open anything that's like food or drink related.
Yeah, it's tough, especially because we built it from the ground up, which is not the easiest thing to do in Albuquerque. I try not to say anything negative in any way about anything we do, but it's been very difficult to get this. And the contractors told me it would. Like, that's kind of just the systems we have in this city. But we're so close to it. Like, that's all kind of behind us as long as we get it open and it, we can operate at the level that I want to. Then trying to let go of all that negativity that got us, that we went through to get here. But if you're not patient in this town and have a drive to for it to be really long term in the ways that you're building something, you're going to get super frustrated super fast. It's just really tough.
Well, thank you for holding on. And I know I don't personally drink coffee, but so if you have other drinks than coffee,
sure, yeah, we'll have other stuff for you.
But either way, like I'm sure we'll come check it out because Joshua drinks coffee. And so that's going to be, I think, interesting and fun.
Yeah, I'd love for you guys to come see it and give us feedback for sure.
I've never personally been to any like of those places, the Twin Peaks or what is it called? Or the Hooters.
Twin Peaks,
or
Hooters,
stuff
yeah,
like
that style, yeah.
And also because the first years I was here, I guess I was still like very much in my European mindset of, oh my God, I will never go to that place.
Have what in there?
But no, I think it's fun, and again, you live and you learn, and you grow older, and you change your mind on stuff, or you evolve in a certain way. Let me just check this really quick.
Sure.
So yeah, I guess because I written a question about your creative process and stuff, but so I guess you don't really have one. It's just also mostly you like not impulse, but you have what did you just say? I forgot.
I don't even know what I just said.
No, like it's gonna come back to me, hopefully.
I'll tell you this. I'm not the creative.
Opportunities.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm not the creative. I've surrounded myself with creatives. Joshua was one of them. They're far more creative than I am. I'm more of I would say, the typical like idea man, right? I'll come up with things. I'll think about things, and I've been lucky enough to surround myself with people that will give me honest assessments. Honest feedback, and I've also been lucky enough to be able to identify which of that feedback I want to take and what I don't. Because I'll tell you, most people didn't think, not most, some people did. But there was a lot of critics when I started ABQ Live, right? Because it just wasn't a thing then. To compared to what it is now. When you see social media now, it makes a lot of sense with what we do. But when I started it wasn't like this. So it didn't click for a lot of people at first. So I'm constantly trying to keep myself surrounded by creatives because they can take the things that I'm thinking about and really help guide me to get them to the level that I'd like them to be at. So it's more of I think of what I am good at is cultivating relationships, creating loyalty amongst people, and leading, right, and helping lead a charge when we're all in the same pathway. But part of the reason I don't have a very defined creative process is because I'm not necessarily the creative type. I'm more of the guy that's going to push the project along, just out of sheer will sometimes.
But see, again, I mean, and I'm not trying to butter you up. I guess that's an expression I just learned not too long ago. Because funny enough, it's the same expression in French.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
But yeah, I was telling my colleague the other day, I don't mean to put butter on you. And she's like, I think you didn't mean that, like
right.
literally.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's, again, like very like, being like being emotionally smart and business smart, because you know how to surround yourself. And a lot of people, I feel like, me included, sometimes they're stubborn because they're like, oh no, I have this idea and it has to be a certain way,
yeah.
and I want it to come this way, or I want to have a really long intro.
No matter what Joshua says.
Yes. And no matter how many people change theirs to really short ones.
Yeah. That's hard. Somebody told me that when I first started, though, and I always remember. I wish I remember who told me it, but he told me, when you start your own thing, there will be a gradual climb, and then there will be a plateau, and then for most things there'll be a crash. Right? That's just how there's a lifespan of almost anything, and being self-aware, and not too emotionally tied to the thing you created, so that you can actually see that and make adjustments when those things are happening, is difficult, because we do have a connection to the things we are creating. And sometimes I tell my staff this all the time, excuse me. Sometimes we get caught up in wanting things to be perfect, that we allow it to slow us down. And I'm a big proponent of just continuing to move even when things aren't perfect, because you can come up with a bunch of reasons of why not to continue forward. But just pushing through, I think, is the biggest thing we can do to eventually get somewhere, and make adjustments. But it's hard when it's your brand and it's your thing, to not want to like control it down to the,
yes,
to whatever level you want it to be.
I understand that really well. Was there any time that you felt like something kept you from moving on with anything, like in your journey?
I'm sure there's things that have popped up. I'm sure I've missed some opportunities by not being open-minded enough. I'm sure those have flown by without me even realizing, things that maybe didn't fit what we were doing and what the brand was, or what my idea of what it was at a certain point. I probably don't want to know if they were really big, right? I don't want to know what I missed on. But it's like a maturity thing too. I look back at things now. When I started when I was 28, I would have made more emotional decisions just because I was more of an emotional person at that point. And emotional maturity changes over time, and being able to make those clear assessments and step out of things gets easier, or it did for me over time too. How
did you feel at the time? Because I know on a personal level with Joshua and stuff, that for a long time, or I don't know if it's a long time really, but that the magazine worked really at first with like how do you say that in English, trades.
Sure. Yeah.
How did you eat?
Yeah. Like, right. No, survival. That was, again, I'm fortunate. If I would have had kids at that point, if I'd had other things, I wouldn't have been able to scrape by when I needed to scrape by, and just put all my time into surviving in those early days. Like, honestly, there were, people traded with us. But trade doesn't pay the rent, right? We used to say that all the time. But sometimes that's all somebody would give you. So you'd have to turn, $500 in trade into $100 of marketing somehow, or whatever. But again, I had lots of support to help me get through that timetable. And lots of people wouldn't have made it through, to be honest. It's very difficult to start with we didn't have any fun. There's all these myths I hear once in a while about how I was a trust fund kid or we had money from something, because these things were made up myths, right?
Yeah.
When in reality, we were it was constant survival mode. Not the only, there was lots of great things, but what made it easier is all the stuff we were doing was a blast. Right? We weren't, I say this a lot too, we weren't digging ditches for a living. We were going to shows and shooting pictures and eating great food and talking to chefs and doing these things that would, you get out of bed in the morning for whether you're getting paid a ton or not, because you have really great experiences. So that helped a lot too. I wouldn't have grinded through something I didn't enjoy. It just doesn't work that way. Not for me personally. Some people do it, but not for me.
No, I feel you, and see, that's something that I've been struggling with like the past years, because my husband has found his passion, and like for a long time, like he's a graphic designer, photographer, videographer, and he just like knows that he's an artist, and like that's his thing. And living with someone like that is amazing, but it's also really hard sometimes, because then you look at yourself and you're like, what is my thing? And you're like, oh, I don't know. And
for sure.
Or it's a lot of things. And then you go on social media, and that's also the hard part about social media. I feel like, I don't know how you feel about this, but is you see like the end product of people's lives or projects, or like that lady that makes magnets. It looks so easy. She's just like watching a show, and she's like, punching magnets and making the packages. And I'm like, packaging them. I'm like, I can do that. But of course you don't see the whole like
evolution
and journey, and the money you have to put in it and all that stuff. And so I feel like we live in a time where it's easy or easier to make it or to have a big following on social media, but it's not. And so I think people don't realize the work you have to put behind it.
They have no idea.
No, and then surround yourself with like the people to edit if you don't want to do it yourself, or you don't, or you can't do it yourself.
Yeah, you don't have the skill set or time.
Yeah, and then for me, sometimes there's a language barrier. Like even earlier, I wanted to make these little things, and I was like telling Joshua, asking if you could help me, and I was like, like when journalists have little like cheat sheet, like they have the things, and he couldn't understand what I was saying, and I was like, and I was trying to type it on the internet, and Google didn't understand what I was saying either. So I was like, I'll try to do it myself, and so they're uneven, and it's not really working, but it's okay, it's working. It's the first video podcast, and it's just gonna go up from here. But
it's like anything I've said before, like it's a step.
Yeah.
And it gets better the next time, and it gets better the time after that. And it's the evolution of the process, and not getting frustrated when things aren't perfect is the hard part.
I love, what? It's funny because I feel like I keep seeing the videos from ABQ Live on social media about them. I feel like your team is eating all the time. That's all I see. Yeah. It's them trying places. But it's really cool, though. Yeah. Because I'm like, oh, I want to try that too.
Yeah, and that's really what that is. And that's a brand, that's a pivot. We created Team Experiences, which is our version of what's it called? Everybody does it. You hire a
I don't know.
The people that are really big, like on Instagram. What are they? I know this.
And I'm so sorry, I can't help you.
It's okay. So we're setting those up with locations, because then the staff can go out and try something, and we put it on our socials, and we influencer marketing.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
it's our version of influencer marketing.
Yes.
But it's a ABQ Live team experience. It's not, and it's the group and it's the brand that's going to try it. So you'll see different staff at different things. Sometimes I don't get to do all of them anymore, but I just went down to the one they did at Roni's. And it allows us to try things, food for one, right, which everybody enjoys, and then get that out onto our channels. And then we've built, I think, a brand loyalty to the point where people do see it on our channels, they will be inclined to go try it.
Oh, of course.
Because we're not really going to put something on there that we didn't enjoy. Like, that's just not part of what we do. Yeah.
Well, which is interesting because, I mean, it could be, well, I guess not, because then it's really not a good ad but for those people. But I guess it's also kind of like like POV, like the real experience of,
Yeah,
well,
sure.
it wasn't the best, but you know, I don't know.
Oh, we don't do a ton of that. We don't. We really,
No,
and we
yeah,
never,
that
we
makes
never
sense.
have. Like
Yeah.
part of what we do is positivity and
Yeah, that makes sense.
enjoyment and really promoting all the top things in Albuquerque. I think you can get lots of clicks with negativity. You can
Oh,
post
yes.
a lot of the bad things that are going on, and I think that's why a lot of the news channels do that. We just never have went down that road. Partly because when I started this, it was because I wanted to do things I really enjoyed, and push that out as a brand. So we just don't even, we don't even partake in much negativity. We don't have to either.
No, and I think that's good too. And in a way, it's a niche because I feel like right now, like, what do you watch on social media or on platforms like YouTube or any like streaming platform?
Like in general?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's lots of stuff, but there's a lot of, obviously with the state of things now, there's a lot of political pieces and negativity surrounding the country and all those types of things. So what you see on the ABQ Life side, like lots of food related material, obviously me and Joshua game together. So a lot of that material, that's what you'll see on my personal pages for sure. Yeah.
And see, for me, like, I'm a big consumer of true crime, and
Oh, sure.
but you know that also at some
Yeah.
point I have to stop because it's like, okay, after you know, hearing like stories about like 4 serial killers and
Yeah.
like, you know, it's like, oh, I have to have some positivity in my life too, and
You got to balance. Yeah.
you got to. So I think that's really good to just focus on that, and also, I mean, right now for me, like, I watch only like on YouTube a couple of people that vlog, mainly in Belgium and France.
Oh, cool.
I don't know any that do vlogging. Sorry, vlogging here, but I'm interested in that because I want to be part of that award a little too.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is I don't watch the news, and that's also something that my family, like, religiously growing up at 7:30 was the news on the broadcast on TV in Belgium, and so it's at 7:30 every day.
That's what you guys did?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And it was very long for an hour. And then after, my dad was like, all right, go to bed.
Yeah.
That was really my childhood.
Right.
But all that to say that I grew up with that kind of like, not anxiety, but almost kind of to, you know, have to know what's happening in the world and stuff. And so now my dad is basically just sending me videos every day about everything that's happening lately.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and I had to call my family and to say, because all of a sudden they were like, are you going to be deported? Because I'm an immigrant, but I'm a legal immigrant. So I was like, no.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, I came in the front door and I paid and I'm good and, you know, everything's okay. But yeah, no. And so I watched 10, it's, his name is Hugo Decrypte. It's not going to mean anything to anybody that's watching now because it's in French, but it's 10 minutes of news.
Yeah.
And it's just 10 minutes. And I watch it whenever I have
And it
time.
catches you up.
Yes. And I just keep an eye on stuff,
Yeah.
but I'm not like, you know, I feel like
Surrounded
especially,
by it, yeah.
Yeah, when COVID happened,
Oh, yeah.
oh my God, like we followed the broadcast for like the first couple weeks. And then when we caught ourselves to just like keep count of the people dying,
Yeah.
we're like, okay, I think we need to let it go.
Yeah.
And the
For
world
sure.
is going to keep turning,
Yeah.
even if we don't watch it. And so,
It's like anything else. If you don't balance it, you're going to be
Yes.
in a bad position mentally because you're inundated with it or whatever. Yeah.
going on with like a young team and stuff, have you ever had like ideas come in, like doing vlogs or even having your own podcast?
We've talked about that. I'll give you credit. This is a lot of work. The interview is hard enough, right? But the before and after, the marketing that comes with it, the editing, all of those things is just, and we don't do anything we can't do consistently and at a high level. So we've been approached for years for podcasts to do our own.
Yeah.
It just didn't, like I said, I never felt like we could do it at a consistently level that I was comfortable with based on all the other things that we do.
Yeah.
Vlogging to the level that you see on socials is probably to the level that we'll ever do it. We may do, you'll start to see on some of the videos, some of the staff now are communicating and actually giving reviews or talking more, so there's more interaction there. We still do lots of interviews with local business and things like that. We just were at Chocolate and Coffee for 2 days, Chocolate and Coffee Festival, and the staff interviewed the creator Dean, and that went really well. So a lot of that stuff, they are very interested in all those things, and that's partly why I love to have them on our staff, because I want them to be able to partake in the things they're passionate about, as long as we have a plan to execute it. Because you see lots of people in general, probably. I just see lots of young people think they're passionate about something, realize how much work it takes, and then all of a sudden they're not as into it anymore, right? And that happens a lot. You'll see it with videographers a lot, because they want to be in the mix when they're getting the content, and then they realize, oh my God, I got to go home and go through 10 hours of content to create a minute of video. And that process is not always super easy. And that's why not everybody, gets through it. And lots of people buy cameras that never actually do the work behind it that it takes. So as long as we have a plan and we can execute it, there'll be lots of that stuff that I think you'll see pop up, as long as they're into it, because it's not going to be me pushing it. It's really up to them to do it.
Right. What would you say made you be here after all these years still? If English.
I still enjoy what we do a lot.
Okay.
I really still enjoy the events. We got the wine festival coming up. It's one of my favorite things of the year. I still enjoy the processes of creating and coming up with new ideas and new events and new things that we can be a part of, and partnering with other people. I still enjoy the energy that the staff brings and the interns bring. So all that is partly why, I'm still wearing an ABQ Live shirt every day, and in the office as much as I can be, because that energy it's almost like what is the word, like that energy creates energy for me, right? So I still love all that stuff, and that's why I continue to do it. I think if I didn't, people would have seen me jump into something else a long time ago and allow somebody else to run the ABQ Live side at one point. But it's still so much fun, and it has to be fun. I think we got into a place a couple of years ago where not everything was a lot of fun, and it became almost robotic. Just because that's what happens when you put systems into things. And we're doing everything we can to still have structure, but still have a good time, because that's why I left UNMH to do this, because it wasn't fun doing that. So if that's not still the base level of what this is, then it probably won't work long term, no matter who's doing it, me or somebody else.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So you talked about maybe going back to Jemez.
Sure.
Eventually. Do you think is it something more like you see it as you want to live your end days? How do you say that in English? I'm so sorry, it sounds so awful when you say it like that. But is it something more like you feel like you want to, retire?
Sure. Well, I still have a lot of family up there. I still love it up there. It's still beautiful up there. It's nice to get away from, the city hustle and bustle and go back. I don't know if I would live there full time or not, but I know I'm just always going to be connected to it one way or another. When you grow up in a small community like that, you just have unique experiences that when I go back, I'm reminded of, right? And I still have lots of friends that are, that I went to school from kindergarten to 12th grade with, straight through, that are still my friends now. So those were kind of relationships. I don't know very many other people that have those types of relationships. So that's definitely a potential landing spot for me at some point. But again, like I said, I'm not great with 5-year plans. So I don't know if that's 5 years or, the end of my days. I don't know.
Oh, that's how you say it.
I don't know.
So much better when you say it. Oh my God. Yeah, it's so interesting, especially, even for me, like I was talking with one of my sisters earlier, because that's also the beauty of like having so many brothers and sisters is we all different ages, but we're all in a different moment of our lives in a way. And so we were talking about, because some of us are estranged with my father. My mother passed away.
Gotcha.
6 months after I moved here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was difficult because I was not talking to her.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it was very hard. And so, now, well, that brings a lot of things, because then you take a step back on a lot of stuff that you remember, and that you're like, oh, okay, but that you remember living, but as a child or as a teenager or as a young adult, and then now you are a little older adult, but you're like, you see stuff with a different eye and a different perspective, and you wish that you had talked to your younger self and say, don't be so black and white. And,
Yeah, sure.
And so right now she's very strongly, staying in her position and saying that she's moved on a lot of stuff, but she's still very like, tied to things that she, how she sees my father in a certain way. And so, I try to, be the bigger sister and say, hey, I was you 4 years ago.
Yeah, right.
And becoming a mom, changed a lot of things for me. And
right.
But growing up but I remember too that at that point, if I had had a big sister that would have told me, hey, you're going to change your mind and don't be so stubborn, I would probably not have listened.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? Yeah, you have to be aware of that too.
So I was going to ask you, do you did you ever come into a situation like that in your life, in your family or in your professional life, where you feel like you could give advice to people, but I guess I don't even know where I'm going with this.
If they would have taken it or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And you just have to take it with a grain of salt. It's a little more personal when it's a little brother or sister, right? Because you're connected. But like I said, I've had interns for 10 years. I've had relationships with a lot of different younger people that you try to guide or give your input here and there. But what you said is spot on. Would have I taken that at their age, right?
Right.
And that's the hard part. All you can do is lend wisdom, and if they want to use it, they can. If they don't need to. Most of the time, we have to go through things before we learn anything, just as human beings. And when they're young, they haven't been through enough to really even understand the feedback you're giving them, and it's not necessarily their fault. It's just that's why older people usually have more wisdom, because they've been through a whole lot more things than younger people. So I think we run into it all the time, but being generous and patient and those types of things is really, in my mind, the only way to continue to get them to listen to you. It's really up to them to make decisions after that.
Right. It does seem, from what I know, because I know, I've met one of your brother. I've known of the other that I don't think I've ever met him. But it seems that your parents have been really, okay, I don't know how I'm going to turn this but okay, so I guess what I want to mention is, how did your parent educate you and your brothers and sisters? Was it consistent throughout all 7 of you? Even though I know you have half siblings like me, but I'm saying that because for me, it was me and my 3 sisters, and then my parents were together, separated. My dad married my stepmother, and then he had 3 children with her, and then my mom had a son.
So it's different groups almost.
Yeah, and so for the first 3, for us it was military. It was really, really strict. We got beat it on a lot, and that's how it was. That's how it was. Let's just leave it at that. But then the last 3, they're kind of just free roaming. And in a way, I'm happy for them, but it's not helping them. And so, there's a lot of controversy in that. And at the same time, my dad is like, Marie, I'm tired. I was a lot younger when you were younger. And I'm like, okay, cool. But, and so I wonder
that's
how
very
it worked for you.
similar to a degree. I think it is like having different groups. We grew up in different, you have to remind yourself that your parents were younger when you were younger. So just comparing me at a certain age to a little brother at a certain age, my dad was not the same person in a lot of ways. You know, he'd grown in different ways and different things had changed, and obviously different partners. So there's so many different variables. But I think that's common in a lot of families like ours, where the older ones, when they were younger and things were done differently back then, they were a lot more strict, a lot harder on us. Did use the belt once in a while, you know what I mean? Like that stuff happened because that happened across that generation. And then as they got older, that stuff, more and more research came out, more and more feedback came out, and that kind of stopped. So I see it very similar. Like we went through a lot of different things than some of my younger siblings, for sure. And I'm sure that's common in other families that are, because this is in 2 different countries, right?
Right, yeah.
And it's very similar.
Still the same.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting because, see, like right now, that's why we're talking a lot with Joshua about our son, is how we're going to raise him.
Yeah.
Of course, we're not going to hit him. You know, let's make that clear. But it's weird to say but after that. But for some reason, even though, you know, I went through all that, you know, physical violence growing up, I always had that fear of my dad. And my dad, wherever we would go, if we started to kind of like get crazy, he would look at us.
I know.
And you would know.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
You know, and so it's like, how do you
create that without being physically violent? Yeah, I think that's
you don't have the answer for me.
Yeah, that's the question, right? Because you're right. My dad is the same way. Like, he'd just look at you and you'd be straight.
Yeah.
And I see kids all the time now that don't have that fear.
No.
And it's harder to, they don't act the same way. So that's, if you find out, when you guys find out, let us know, because it's, the fear of your dad or like somebody having that authority and knowing by a look that you better not mess around is completely different than things that happen now.
And in a way, I don't know. I mean, I also parallel that with like companies and stuff, because I see that with one of my sisters. She's very wild. She has done a lot of different jobs, and she loves it. She loves the experiences too. But her like how do you say that in English? CV, the resume. Her resume has a couple pages, and she's like 25, 26 at this point, and her resume is probably like 10 pages long. It tells you how many jobs she had, but she can't stand authority. Yeah, and so it's like, you know, like do you see that evolution too in your interns? Yeah. How do you, you know, manage to find the right way to lead, or, you know, or to be a boss even? Yeah,
it's difficult, I think. And I think that's going to continue to be the case. It's not just that's different components, right? I don't think it's just the parental guidance that they've been brought up. It's also what society, how we're brought up now with the culture and I feel like there's less interpersonal relationships that are built at a young age. I think it's harder for them to communicate face to face than it's ever been, because so much is on text. I have so many that don't even want to make a phone call because they're uncomfortable right at a young age, because they don't have a lot of that experience, because when you think about it, they're learning everything they know on a screen and texting and emails and not a lot of verbal communication. So there's that, plus not maybe being grown up or brought up like I was, with someone like that kind of structure and somebody who had that authority. So it's all that, right? And that's going to continue to be. Yeah. So if we as leaders and owners of companies don't adjust, I think we won't be successful.
No, that's true.
So I'm constantly thinking about that, to be honest. I've never been, I think I'm lucky because I've never been like a micromanager. I don't hover. I don't, I'm not the type that's like, you got to do it a certain way. So I think that's lends itself a little bit easier to me. And I've seen other people that aren't that way struggle with the generations that are coming up now, because they want it a certain way and they don't want to be told what to do necessarily. So it's an evolution. I think things are changing very, very quickly. All these kids are coming up through the workforce, and if we aren't constantly thinking about this, then we're not going to be successful. I don't know if I have an answer, but I do think it helps that I'm also in a scenario where we're creative and fun. So I get a little bit of leeway in the ways that I can lead compared to somebody who just, owns a department store or something. And it's just like, you got to be here at 8 and leave at 5, and you got to do these things. And there's not a lot of motivation. I don't want to get too political either, but I think part of it also that I sense from this next generation is that it's hard because there's not a American dream right now. There's not a white picket fence. There's not, most of these kids probably can't buy a house. Like if we're just being honest about things. So what are they motivated by? And I don't blame them.
Oh no, of course. And see, that's the thing too, is what I'm pissed about is we got lucky, but we have a really high interest. We bought, now it's going to be 3 years this summer, but we bought when it was rising. And we were just got in really like right before it got really crazy. But then I'm like, wait, what? So our generation is supposed to be what? The renters generation? Because then the one before got lucky and bought it,
Yeah, right.
Got houses for, like we had like a friend of Joshua was an older lady that did like the graphic design bachelor at the same time as him. And she was like, she told us she has like a house in the northeast, like really nice neighborhood. And she was like, oh yeah, we bought it at $100,000. And I was like, piece of shit. Like that house is worth five times that now. I'm like, and then she's like, so yeah, you should really invest in like, for real. Like,
and that's the thing.
The same.
I think
like,
if we communicate like that, we're in trouble. Because we sound naive. She sounds naive. Because it's not that accessible for this next group. So if you treat them like they don't have to keep a job, because what are they working for? Honestly, like I don't necessarily believe in that mentality, but I also feel for them in that I don't know what I would do at 24 right now. I don't know what my plan would be, because there's not a lot of, like I said, there's not like that thing that we were all striving for a long time that made sense to everybody. That was like, that you could, if you worked hard enough, you could buy a house, you could have some kids, you can send them to college. You could do that if you just worked hard enough. And now that's not available for most people. So then why do we expect them to work hard enough? And that's the predicament we're in. And again, I can sit here and say all these things. I'm obviously not an expert, and I'm lucky because the things we do are fun and enjoyable. And you said we're going and eating at restaurants and stuff like that. So I don't have to be a taskmaster. Lots of people want to do the stuff we're doing. So it's easy for me to say, but that's the kind of environment we're in that I don't have the answers for. And I think it's something we're going to deal with over the next 10 years. And what I hope is this generation is ready to make a change for them. Because it's going to take them to lead the way.
And to be I feel like right now you have to be creative. You have to find different ways. Because see, like the first thing when I moved here and I heard like that Joshua's mom worked like 60 hours a week. I was like, wait, what? Like in Europe, people would be striking. Nobody works over 40 hours. If you work 40 hours 1 second, people are on the street. You know, it's like, no, that's overtime. And if it's not, then people just stop working. And so here, when I hear like it's 60 plus, and even by doing so, you already, first of all, don't have a life, but then you don't even know if you can even meet like both ends at the end of the month. I'm not really good with expressions, I guess. You can tell. But
you don't know if you're gonna be able to cover everything you need to.
So it's like, wait, what? And even for me, like when I moved here, I didn't want to. I guess I should have had like the equivalence of my degree done, so I could have worked a job. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be behind a desk, and so I was like, okay. And I was super lucky for Joshua to give me that freedom of trying stuff, and by any means, like same as you, we that's why we lived at his mom's for the first years that I was here, because we couldn't afford to live anywhere, and
gotta survive.
And then the first 6 months I was here, I was not even allowed to work because of the immigration process, and so I was trying to, help him in a lot of different ways to, grow his own, self-employment stuff. And but yeah, you're right. It's hard because the American dream that used to be is not here, and I feel like now it's up to all of us to kind of create it like for ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you have to, be creative, and kind of it's easier with social media nowadays, but at the same time it's not, because you're a fish in the sea.
Yeah.
And you have to work on being like have a good personality, and and sometimes it's not enough, but at the same time you see some creators that have like millions of followers, and it's like, and I've never heard of them, or like I was talking with Joshua, like even like the first YouTuber, not Mr. Beast, the other one, PewDiePie, I don't even know if I'm saying it. I've never heard of him, I've never watched one of his videos, and he's the biggest YouTuber. And I'm like, so you can be, because also something else, and see, that's all my mind works, is like I just go left and right. My biggest fear is for my family to see me on social media and think that I look ridiculous. And you know what I mean? Sure. And so I feel like I've never started vlogging, even though I think I should have like a long time ago, because I like it a lot. But see, like passion sometimes is not enough, because there's like fear behind it. Sure. And so, I feel like I'm like, oh, but what are people going to think, and this and that. And then I see some people that have like that grown the following and that I've never heard of. And so I'm like, oh, I could be maybe famous or have a big following, and my family would never know.
Sure.
And so, and I call her again, like the magnet lady. It's funny because she just put that out too, saying that when she started, she blocked like her whole family from social media. And that's what allowed her to be herself and kind of like try stuff out on social media. And it ended up growing, and when like now that she's where she's at, she unblocked her family and was like, "Hey, surprise!" Yeah,
look, I've been the manic lady the whole time.
And so I don't know. I feel like being a big sister, I love just talking and giving advice, even on some stuff, like you said, you're not an expert on. I'm not either, but sometimes just hearing something or talking about it is maybe gonna spark, an idea or something in someone's head, and that's what I want to do, and I'm passionate about. And so, also with this, whoever is listening, I guess I should look at the camera. This is very weird, but please come tell your story, like and you can talk about your brand or not, or just you and your story. Like I feel like we all have crazy stories, and they're worth sharing, right? Yes, yes. And I feel like nowadays, even though with social media, it's like you think you know people, and all of us are kind of like little creeps looking at each other on social media,
but it's very surface level.
It's surface, because also you just look at someone else's life, but then you don't ask how they're doing. It's just
because you're seeing it and assuming.
Voyeurism. And but then also you show what you want on social media. That's been like a really, like, I haven't shared anything because I'm so uncomfortable with that. Yeah. With only showing what you want, and then showing yourself in the best lighting and the best stuff way, and then you don't know people are struggling with their weight or their age or whatever. Right. And so I'm so sorry. See, that's my mind. I'm just going a million places, and then I'm like, wait, what? So how are you doing? But on another level, though, so that's something I want to do too. Is how are you doing?
Good. I like I said, I'm in a great place, like mentally. I think I'm surrounded by great people. I can't really complain too much. We work hard. We get to do a lot of things. We get to eat a lot of great food. Right? My relationships are as strong as they've ever been. I have really, really great people in my life. So I really can't complain too much at all. I'm very fortunate for the opportunities that I get.
Nice. Is it something that you try to also surround yourself with positive energy?
I think that's the most important piece. Like, if you don't have the right people around you, it's very difficult to obtain the things you want to obtain. I don't like to use the word success, but just do the things that you want to do in a positive realm. Like, if you're not around the types that will support you and be positive around you, it makes things very difficult. I'm very, very fortunate with the And it's been my whole life, to be honest, like with the support and the positivity around everything that I do and they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like also you give it back by supporting.
Yeah. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
That's partly why, that's a big part of it. Because you can't necessarily connect to those people if you aren't giving something too. That's not how the energy works, So if you're not, and it takes effort sometimes because we're all grinding all the time, and it's easy. You brought it up earlier. It's easy to get into. You see these things that are negative all the time, and it's easy to consume that and then spit it back out, and then all of a sudden you don't even realize, you're walking around spewing negativity, and it's hard to attract positive people when that's what you're pushing out. They don't want to be. People don't want to be around that. So being self-aware and it's not like I said, most of the stuff that I do isn't like natural. It takes effort and work and thoughtfulness every day to produce that kind of positivity and make sure you're leading in the right way.
That's true. And you, Marie, can you speak like true?
Yeah.
But I'm so sorry. I can give a French lesson. You know what? It's funny because every time like I say something bad or the wrong way or whatever, like JC Penny, I always say Jenny Penny. But every time that I say something like funny or that's not English and Joshua was laughing, I'm like, oh, can you say it in French?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's your second language, right? Yeah.
But I'm trying to get better. Hopefully, you'll see the evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
Too. I don't know, but
I think it's great because it's authentic. It's you.
But see, that's also what I love about America is that you can be you. Like I go to work with I just went last week. It's gonna be Easter now, but with bunny ears, and people are looking at me and they're like, "Oh, they're used to it because over Christmas I just came with antlers." So now they're like, "Oh, okay, she is like that." But it's like, but I feel like you're still allowed to be crazy and just be you and funny enough, I was watching I think it was it on Hulu or Max? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Unless they're sponsoring this, it doesn't really matter.
No, but I'm like, would be great. First episode, filmed episode, but no, and it was oh my God, true stories, but crazy. So true crime again, but crazy stories like young people. That young girl thought she was in love with kind of like her classmate, but he wasn't interested in her, and he kind of made fun of her, but made her believe that he was kind of.
Sure.
And so they met after school. Very, very long story short, another dude from that school came in, and they ended up shooting her in the back of the head.
Oh my God.
She survived.
Oh.
Yeah. I was just like, what?
Wow.
And I'm a crybaby, so I was like, oh my God. And I was just crying. And at the end of that episode, you see that the show was well made because you didn't know she survived all the way until the end. And she's like, oh, I'm her. And she's like, wow. Because she was like for months in a coma, la la la.
Sure.
And the end of the episode, she said, because personally, I don't know if it's the same for men or in your case, but I struggled a lot with my physical appearances and still am. But at the end, she said, you're all beautiful. And if I cry, it's okay. I'm a crybaby. But she's like, you're all beautiful. Yeah. Everybody's beautiful. But she didn't just say that. She said, now I'm dedicated my life to growing flowers and stuff. And she's really young still. So I don't know why am I laughing? Why if she's going to do that for the rest of her life? But she was saying, so you see a rose. A rose is beautiful, right? And she said, you see a sunflower, it's beautiful, right? But they look nothing alike.
Sure.
And still they're beautiful. Yeah. And she said, you see your neighbor, right? It's and you don't look nothing alike, but you both beautiful.
Yeah.
And that touched me so hard, and that's also why I was like, I think another purpose in my life is just to, and I think I'll say that in every episode, is to tell people that they're beautiful. And I think with social media and in your line of work too, we work on all the perfect images, to make things shine and not to really talk about the negative, but only the positive. And so I think, I want to also tell people that we're beautiful in our differences. Yeah. Because also now all you see on social media is cosmetic surgeries. And
everybody looks exactly the same.
Yes. And it's like, And so that's what I'm, same. Like today, I was looking for a blouse that was hiding my little belly.
Sure.
It's like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
it goes so far deep. But then at the same time, you have amazing people like that singer now at Coachella that like showing herself the way she is, and I'm like, I want to do that too.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yeah. So I'm not going anywhere specifically with this. I think that's been going on now, but. How do you feel as a man? Because see, that's my perspective as a woman, and I think a lot of women in the society just feel like that too.
Yeah.
That however they look, and that's also what I'm learning with age, is that you look a little overweight or thin. I think we all have body dysmorphia, or
to a degree, yeah.
Yeah, and so how, as a man, like growing up in America, how do you?
I think it's a little. It's probably significantly easier for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way society is. I feel like women feel a lot more of that pressure than we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's also partly because of the marketing of everything too, and the way things are supposed to look, and living up to those expectations and those types of things. I think it's important that we continue to talk about it, especially around young people, so that they understand the difference between something they see on social media that's been really edited and what most people actually look like. And I've seen a lot of celebrities that have started posting things without makeup and things like that. I think that's very influential, more probably than they even realize, for young kids and women in general, because it's just easy to get manipulated by images and marketing. That's why marketing is so powerful, because they want you to spend money to look a certain way, and money drives all of this. So as long as we're continuing to communicate amongst each other and say these things, and the simile that you just brought up about the flowers is perfect in that way, right? Being able, but it has to be constantly communicated, because we'll walk out of here and we'll get on social media and we'll see it again, and we're going to be inundated with it. So making sure that we do tell people they're beautiful for what they are and who they are and the things they do is, in my mind, all we can do to combat that constant marketing that we're seeing from corporations that want to sell us Botox or lip fillers or shoes or whatever.
No, and that's also, I want to say that too, is like 2 days ago, I felt so confident, and I was like, oh my God. And I was so and I'm still so excited to do this podcast. And then yesterday I had the like craziest panic attack, because I went to pick up my son at daycare, and then I went to Costco, and then I needed to get some, drinks and food and stuff. And then I wanted some sweets, and all of a sudden I started panicking, because I was like, and I wanted to get me a drink on the way. And I was like, I can do that because I need to lose weight, because I went to our Dropbox and I saw pictures of us when I first moved here. And I was like, oh, I am not looking the same anymore. And so, and it's okay, because it's life, and I had a baby, and, there's a lot of like, okay things, but your mind, is just tricking you all the time. And so I was just like, ooh. And so all of a sudden, for the next couple of hours, I starved myself, because I was like, oh my God, I cannot eat because I need to lose weight for tomorrow, which of course is never going to happen.
And man, it's like, that's tough.
And so, and it's very hard. But
and there's societal pressures that we all feel. Like I said, I think is more difficult on women. And it's it's tough. I think you're lucky, and you have support with somebody like Joshua and somebody who can give you honest feedback that's going to support you through these things, because you are on a journey through motherhood and all these things that are very important compared to, again, something you see on Instagram. And then, it's also important that the people that do get the surgeries and that do get the lip filler, if that makes them feel beautiful and that's what they want to do.
That's true.
Like, I think that's important too. I think sometimes we lean too far to where we villainize them, which is not fair either, because ultimately it's up to you on what you want to do with your body and how you want to portray yourself. It's just hard when then you start comparing yourself to them. And that's the difference,
And how do you feel about, because social media is a magnifier to comparing yourself to other people, because that's all you see is other people's stuff. And so has it been a journey for you? Because I know earlier we talked about like potential competition and
Yeah.
stuff. Is it something that you always kind of keep an eye on, or that you try to branch out from that?
I don't partake in it to that level quite often, to be honest. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. I've just been always so driven in the things I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm a little distracted by how much I have going on that I don't, and like, it's almost part of that same thing that I don't have a 5-year plan. I also don't have someone I want to be 5 years from now. So I just don't have that perspective on things a lot of ways. I really think about, my mental health and I also don't like to use the word happy too much either, because am I fulfilled in the things I'm doing every day? Is my family healthy? Like, I'm just, it's just a mantra of mine to continue to think in those ways as much as I can. So I don't typically get sucked into too much of that stuff. Obviously, you watch a show and, somebody's golfing at a super nice resort, and I'm like, man, I would love to do that eventually somewhere, or do these things. But I've been lucky enough that it doesn't make me feel bad about where I am now. I think we have to be really, really careful about that. Like, things don't change overnight. Most successful people, again, success is not overnight. It's they are older than you think they are by the time they get to things they've done. And like, there's been years and years of work behind it. Like, all that stuff really matters, and reminding yourself that all the time is super important. And I'm fortunate enough that I do that, and I think that keeps me grounded and centered in a lot of ways.
Were you always like that, or is it like?
I guess. I don't know. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't even know where I learned it. I have a psych degree too, so I think that helps. Most people wouldn't realize that. So I think like I probably had a mindset towards mental health even as a younger person. So that probably all helps. I don't typically get too high or too low. And that's just a fortunate mentality of mine since I was younger. So couldn't tell you exactly where I picked all this stuff up, but it's how I operate now.
I know you said like that your work is fun and is your passion, and you're glad to wake up and do that. But what do you do for fun? Like, on the side, do you have any extra?
I'm ultra competitive. I actually have to keep it like kind of under control sometimes. So I was an athlete growing up. I still like to compete in any way I can. So I play golf when I can. I've been part of different things over the years. As I was younger, we played in softball leagues, and I played a lot of pool as a younger guy. Got super competitive into that. But I played, like, me and Josh know each other from playing video games, and that I always need that competitive like piece of my life, because I feel like I go a little stir crazy if I'm not like competing once in a while at something, and then it's just built into who I am. So that's what I like to do, like, on the time that I do get is and it makes it, and again, I have a lot of good people around me that also like to do those things. So we get to go, and like next Saturday we'll play golf for my brother's birthday and things like that. Nice. Like, those are the types of things that I really enjoy. My little brother is a touring musician, so we go and see him wherever I can, and that reconnects me to the way I grew up and the family and all those types of things. So those are the personal things that I get to do beyond what I do with the ABQ Live side that I really, enjoy doing, for sure.
That's that. And sorry, I went a million places with you when you were saying all that. And are you the type that needs to win a game before going to bed? I
used to be. I have to be really careful about any of that. Like, I like, it's just one of those things that, my drive has been very useful for me, and it's helped me get to this place that I am now. But it's like anything else. If you don't balance it, it won't be great. Right. So and again, it's one of those things that you learn as you get older, and you become more mature. I just keep myself out of situations where I know I'm going to like obsess over something or want to get really good at something. Or so yes, I was that type a lot of times. I ended up that type when shooting pool and those types of things, where I wouldn't go to bed till I did a certain amount of things. Like all that stuff. Yeah, that competitive nature that is mostly positive for me can cross that line and be detrimental. So if I don't balance it and be careful, yeah, absolutely.
And then for golf, are you more like a top golf or
Oh no, we go out and play for sure.
like the big
Yeah, on the course and everything.
course,
Yeah,
there we
we
go.
play. I mean, none of us are any good at it. Golf is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, and you need to be able to play
It looks
all.
easy though.
I know that's
But,
what.
yeah.
That's why that's part of the frustration of it. It looks like, especially when you see somebody do it really well, you're like, oh man, I could do that, and it's super difficult. So I have to remind myself just to go out there and have a good time, and really part of the golf experience is being on the course and because you are in the city, but it doesn't feel that way. You know, you're kind of surrounded by nature and different things. So that's a big part of it too, is getting away while you're still here. Yeah.
And I mean, that's always has been a question of mine because I'm more of a mini golf
Sure.
person. I just love mini golf. I hate top golf.
Gotcha.
I'm not good at it.
So this summer we're gonna do a mini golf bar crawl.
Oh, cool.
So we'll
I
have
wanna do
holes
that.
set up at different bars throughout Nob Hill.
Okay.
And you'll have a scorecard and everything.
Nice.
Each bar will do specials, and then by the end of it, we'll keep score of everybody's scores, give away prizes, that sort of thing. This will be the first year we did it, so I'll make sure to invite you guys.
Yeah, please do. As long as for me there's like margaritas.
Exactly.
And, you know, I'm in. But so how do you know where your ball lands? Because I mean, I used to play like on the Wii, you know, and of course, like, you know, on like a video game, it goes wherever the ball landed.
Sure.
But in real life, I will, and maybe that sounds stupid. I've always wondered, how do you see
Where it went?
Yes.
You don't always.
Okay.
You have a general idea of where it went,
And
but
so
you lose balls all the time if you're like us and not very good. If you're hitting exactly where you think you are and you stay in the fairway, it's easy to find.
But is then most of the game like trying to find your ball?
It can be, especially when you're learning. Yeah, it can be. That's part of what you're doing. You're looking in this bush.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just part of the experience.
And is it like an expensive thing to do?
It can be, but you can learn pretty inexpensively. And there's smaller courses to learn and do different things. And most people don't realize you got to pay to go to the driving range, which is not on the course. You can go hit balls. They'll give you a bucket of balls, so you can learn that way.
Okay.
But the putting greens and the chipping greens on golf courses are free. You just got to take your own stuff and go do it. Most people just don't realize that that's accessible. I mean, you're supposed to be playing, but you could go and putt, learn how to putt, and nobody's going to tell you anything. So there is ways to at least find out if you're interested in it without having to spend a bunch of money first.
Okay. Yeah, it feels like fancy to me, but you know,
well, not the way we do it.
Okay.
You have to see. Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we have a good time for sure.
Nice. I'm competitive too, but it's funny because growing up, I was always the big sister that would always change the rules to games.
Oh, sure, yeah, to win. Yeah.
Not always though, to win, but
I
maybe.
would.
Maybe a little bit now that I think about it. But I don't know. I always like to, give rule
structure.
Everybody how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But now as an adult, it's more difficult to kind of find ways to do that. And again, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
It's ridiculous. But is there any other sports you like to do?
Well, I grew up playing basketball. I'm trying to get a little bit back into that. It's tougher as you get older. But not really. Golf is once you get, in your 40s, I feel like we end up in golf and pickleball now. Lots of people are playing pickleball.
What is that?
It's kind of like cross between tennis and ping pong.
Okay.
But on miniature tennis courts. It's it's the fastest growing sport in America.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very popular. I've only played it a couple times. But there's courts all over the place. I bet there's even courts on your side of the mountain.
Yeah, probably. Maybe you can make another, a competition.
I don't need another thing to create, that's for sure.
I can give you other ideas. No, that's amazing. On another note, do you like cooking? What's your go-to to for
I do like cooking. I just and I really got to cook a lot during COVID, like most of us did, right? And it made me realize how much I do enjoy it on occasion. But I'm like a crock pot person, or like I really like. I mean, it makes sense for what I do. Like green chili stew, right, is a go-to. But I don't know what my go-to would be. Maybe like enchiladas or something.
Okay.
I don't really get to cook that much anymore, but during COVID, I really got to mess around with a lot of stuff.
So if we would do like a day in my, how do they, because in French, they do that a lot, the vloggers and influencers and stuff. They do like a day in my plate. I don't know if that really translates really well, or a day in my life, whatever. So what would like a typical, if there is such a thing as a typical day for you, like what would a typical day be, like in terms of like even schedule, food, anything?
I don't eat it in the mornings typically, hardly ever. I just never have been that type of person. I get up and go, and then I get hungry in the afternoon. So I usually only eat twice a day. And then a lot of times, since we're out and about, the lunches are either at clients' locations or something fast casual, right? But like El Patron's a big client of ours, so New Mexican food, or Cocina Azul, or those types of places. Or me and Joshua, we would go to, what's the place on Manal? It's still New Mexican food.
Garcia's?
No, not Garcia's. He's going to kill me for forgetting this. So that's lunch.
I was going to say you would go get a corn dog, but I guess that was really early in the days.
Yeah. Well, shoot, I was feeding him McDonald's back in the day. I'd buy a McDonald's and sweet tea and like McDonald's apple pies. We would go to Frank's Chicken and Waffles a lot. That was a client back then. Probably too much. Me and him ate that a lot. We laugh about it now, but good thing we were young, because we ate a lot of terrible food back then. I mean, it's really good food.
Yes.
It's just you shouldn't eat it every day like we were doing. And then dinners I typically cook at home, but it's usually, like I said, stuff that I create in the air fryer, like the crock pot and things like that. But again, I'm very fortunate that I can go to a lot of places to eat a lot of food. That's good, but also could be, like you said, sometimes then a little overwhelming to eat the same or some of the same. Yeah, like I said before, if you're not balancing it, I'd be 250 pounds.
I saw on your story this past couple days that you have little puppies.
Oh, those aren't mine.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's asking. It's wild.
I know.
It's wild. You put one thing on and they're beautiful little golden retrievers, right? I was just dog sitting for a friend who had to go into work and didn't realize she needed to, so she called me. And my staff bring in dogs once in a while too. Okay. So I was like, yeah, they can come to the office with me. So I honestly, that's super difficult too. I don't know how she does it. Those are 16-week-old golden retrievers, right? A lot
of energy.
Yeah, and just like, you can't just get up and go like I'm used to. You got two things you got to worry about. And then I had some meetings that I had to go. I'm like, wait, I can't take dogs to this meeting. You know, like stuff you don't think about until you. So like, I don't even know if I could do it like regularly.
So you don't have animals on the.
No, I had a cat for 19 years.
Oh, yeah. I remember. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I remember seeing your story about that.
Yeah, and he was great. Obviously, 19 years, lots of different things happened in my life over that time. He was an indoor-outdoor cat. He took care of himself in a lot of ways. But I don't know, even that right now, a cat right now doesn't even make sense in my life. That's how crazy things are. I wouldn't want to put an animal in just a house that I'm rarely in, you know? So that's all difficult. I'm sure I'll end up with something eventually. But right now, I don't know where it even fits. And now we're hitting summer where we got stuff like every other weekend that I'm at. And so I'm in the office in the weekdays, and then weekends I'm at events. Yeah. So my life is wild.
Well, you know what? I wanted to see, because a little, how do you say that? I can't think. For real, Marie? Like a tradition. There we go. We're on episode 3, but it's becoming a tradition.
Sure.
Is for why am I reading it? It's for the This is ridiculous. It's for the guests prior to you to have like written a question in here that I'm going to ask you to answer.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So not knowing who the next guest was going to be, and then I will give you the little book, and then you can write a question for the next guest.
Cool.
Who now I realize I told you who it was going to be. Yeah. So
that makes it a little more difficult.
Well, not really, but it's more like, like the universe law of attraction kind of thing that I'm like, oh, you don't know who you're asking a question to.
Yeah.
But sometimes it does just go spot on stuff. And
sure.
It can lead to another type of conversation. But let me just write your name right here, which I should have done beforehand. And so Patsy was my guest before you. And so she wrote, do you know... Oh, I forgot she wrote that question. Do you know where you are going when you die?
No. No idea. I mean, I think it's... Yeah, I have no idea.
It's funny because we didn't touch at all on the spiritual subject.
Right. And it's not something I talk about much because I don't know. I'm very, as far as my mindset goes, I'm very in the moment and centered here. I don't know for sure where we end up.
Have you grown? Did you grow up in a religious family in any way?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No. I have religious cousins and different things, but not us. Or I say, our religion was music in a lot of ways, right? We were surrounded by that kind of thing. And I think we learned a lot of the things that we learned to be good human beings from the way that my parents and my grandparents operated without any kind of particular spiritual guidance in that way, one way or the other. Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting because see, like for me, my parents were not religious. However, because of, I guess we had you had like 9/11 too, but we had a couple of terrorist attacks in Brussels specifically too. And there was this rise of fear around Islam.
Oh, sure.
And so my dad, his perspective on things was he grew up as it's a funny thing for me too, like as a European, for us Christian Catholicism is like the same thing. So, I know here there's a lot of different types of churches, and so he grew up as a Catholic, I want to say, Christian, and he was baptized. I was baptized too.
Yeah.
And but we didn't go to church every Sunday by any means. However, once he started his association to help homeless people, the church from our neighborhood was actually kind of really active to help raise funds. So we ended up going for a little bit to church every Sunday, which to us was really fun. Well, to me was really fun because I love singing and I'm really bad at it.
Yeah.
But in church, nobody hears you, so it ended up being really fun.
Yeah.
However, I am not making fun of churches or and I want to be really respectful in that way too.
That sounds like a positive thing to say.
Yeah, all that to say that with my youngest brothers and sisters, my dad was more like he sent them to catechism. So I don't know how you say it. Catechism. Because he was also, his mindset was, I need to give them some sort of a religious education so that they're not without one or lost in a certain sense, that they would go and find answers maybe in some other because at that point there was a lot of people recruiting like from very like far religious people in other religions, and so my dad was always scared that my brothers or my sisters would be like recruited
so it gave them structure.
And so in a way I kind of grew up with that mindset of I have to kind of believe in something to not be drawn into something else.
Yeah.
But I'm actually not a believer. And to me, like what we were talking about earlier, I believe in the law of attractions and energies. Absolutely. And I believe like if you, like whatever energy you give, you receive back. Yeah. And to me, I think we're all God, because to me, you're always an influence to a certain way, or a certain degree, but you influence someone else in your life, and you're influenced by other people. But the good that you do, and that's controversial, I guess, but to me, it's not because of a God. It's because like you did that good, and some people dedicate their lives to Jesus or God or a God, regardless of the religion. And I think sometimes people lack the confidence in themselves, and it's probably easier. I don't know if I want to go into that subject, but it's okay. We'll go there. I feel like sometimes it's easier to put that confidence in a higher something. It kind of like takes it off of your shoulder to kind of say if that's God's will, it will happen. Yeah. When sometimes I just want to tell people, but you did it. Like, it's not, because a lot of people are like, oh my God, thank God. And it's like almost become like something you say even without realizing it. But it's like, no, give yourself credit.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
So,
and I think there can be both.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know where we end up, I think that's one of the greatest things about this country is people do have the freedom to believe whatever they want to believe. And I think people are passionate about that sort of thing, and I give them all the credit in the world to believe in whatever they want to believe in. And as long as they're taking that and putting good into the world and being positive and not judging others and those things, then I think that's exactly what, we're supposed to be doing. And then I also think you're right. I think sometimes people can get caught up into things and not take enough, I guess the word is like, credit for the things they're doing on their own as well. But on the other side, I can also see when people are going through troubling experiences where it is helpful to rely on their religious background to get through them. Whether if we rely on the law of attraction and I rely on like balance in the universe and those types of things, they rely on the things they've learned as a child through whatever, or adult through the things they've been taught.
But see, and to me, like I went through that when my mom passed. To me, I was like, this isn't fair. Like, how? Like, why would God, like, if there was a God? But again, that's my own opinion, and with what I went through and stuff. And I'm like, I never had the opportunity to change my mind and grow and talk to my mom. And and she went through so much hard stuff in her life too, and she did bad things, but she also went through a lot. And I'm like, she died at 49, and so I'm like, it's not fair.
That fair?
Yeah, and it's not fair for me. I didn't even have time to grow out of it and and think and take a step back and and so it's like, so you're like, huh? But like, it's the basic saying that always, like, everybody says, like, well, if there was a God, why would there be cancer for children and stuff like that? And I think, I don't know if that's really the reason why there shouldn't be a God, or there is no God, or there is one, and I don't know, and we don't have the answer.
No,
but
I do think I'm a big proponent. Honestly, I said I got a psych degree. I think everybody should have a therapist. I think honestly, I think it's something that is super important to. Some people use religion as their therapy, and I think you need both. You need somebody that you can bounce things off of, somebody who's objective, somebody who's not connected to you in a lot of ways, because it's hard, because there's biases in everybody. Even somebody who's really close to you will have a bias to the way they hope things go, whereas the therapist shouldn't, right? Somebody who's doing what they should. So I think that also is something I'm a huge proponent of. I think there's still stigma around it. People think they only need to get a therapist if they're crazy, which is not really at all. No. I think it's very. That's also maybe why I've had a therapist since I was in college, and I think of it more as like an advisor in a lot of ways. Just somebody I let everything out to.
Get yourself out of your head.
Yeah, and I think that might be why I'm always pretty grounded, is because I've never let society dictate or change that experience for me, right? No matter what people think. It's been super helpful for me over a lot of years. So I might not be, if I wouldn't have been doing that, I might not be where I am today, or I might not be as grounded as I am today. So I think that's a super important thing.
Well, thank you for saying that, because indeed I feel like, and especially for like our parents' generation,
Yeah.
I think maybe hopefully is the last generation that really thinks that it's a bad thing
Yeah.
to go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist
Yeah.
or any type of professional. And in another way, like something that I introduced to Joshua, I don't know if you do, but growing up, my father always got massaged a lot. Like we go get massage a lot. I don't know if it's a European thing. Not a lot of my friends did that too. But when I'm like, and when he came to visit me, we went to get a massage, and then he was like, "Wait, that's so weird. Like, I'm not used to it." And then when I moved here, that's now something we do regularly, because you need to let it go of the stress and the anxiety, and then also our professions. Or even with social media and the phones, our backs are hurting all the time. The neck, it's insane.
Yeah.
And so I always say, when I go to the massage place, we know a really good one. They're amazing. I always go and say, my body is yours for an hour. Like, it's just, and you get, you have to get naked, or just keep your underwear. But it's like, and sometimes a lot with Hispanic culture too, it's something very like almost taboo, like you don't do stuff like that. And I think that people need to learn to self-care.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think mental health is self-care too.
Yeah.
Because funny enough, like I feel like in a lot of from my experience, I only experienced this with like Hispanic families, but a lot of like aunts or grandmas talk about trauma, but like as if they're just talking about going to buy a piece of bread. They talk about it like, about generational trauma like it's nothing.
Yeah,
and it's not. And but I think like now we're the generation that we're kind of like freeing the speech about that, and talking more about self-care and therapists, and I think that's really
I feel like I was knocked. A lot of these conversations have been me and the differences between me and my staff and that next generation. But I do think they are a lot more comfortable with understanding that it is okay to have a therapist, or it is okay to do these things, and almost be proud of the journey and the courage to do those things, and continue to do those things, and work through your mental health issues or trauma, or the things you've went through, with somebody that can give you honest feedback, that's unbiased, that is a professional, because that environment is just a lot different no matter what. I think a lot of people hesitate because they're like, oh, well, I have somebody I talk to. I hear that a lot. And it's like, that's just not the same, and you're not understanding it until you get into those rooms, and you do it for an extended time. That's the other thing. It's not magic.
No.
You don't go a couple times and you're cured of whatever the thing you thought you were going in there for. It's the continual, trek through lots and lots of things, and you don't know when breakthroughs are going to happen. You don't know, and sometimes you'll look back and realize you didn't realize when a breakthrough happened, because that's how life is, and people want instant results from a therapy session, and that's not how it works at all.
No, and then sometimes, like you said, people are like, no, I have like a good friend, or I have someone to talk to, but it is not the same, because first of all, it's like social media again. You only share what you want to share. Yeah. But by the continuous sessions with someone and now you can even do it over the phone. You don't have to see the person in real life. You can even like shop and actually like walk past your therapist and not even know. But also now with the generation, like you said, that have a hard time like talking on the phone, it's also
I would recommend going to somebody until you're comfortable. That's what I do. I went to them for a long time. Now we do phone calls a certain amount of times, and then I come back in and check in face to face once in a while, because I think it makes a difference one way or another. But you're right, the accessibility to it is easier than it's ever been, because you can jump on the phone. Nobody would ever have to know that you're talking to somebody. Right. And that wasn't really readily available until the last few years. So I think that is a positive portion of it.
But then also, and like you said, the continuousness of the meeting is when little by little, even if at first you keep a lot of things in.
Right, which you naturally probably will.
But then you open up.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm always an open book. I talk way too much. And so I talked to a therapist a lot when I first moved here because I had my mom passed and then my dad didn't want to talk to me because I decided to move to America.
Yeah,
and
right.
La, 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 la.
Right.
And so, but I've always been so open because for some reason for me, I can't keep things in. It's almost like I can feel the weight of it, and it's like I can't physically keep it in, and so I cry a lot, I talk a lot, and that's my way of I feel like I'm an emotional sponge, and so that's my way of just drying it out.
Yeah.
But in some time, I had a therapist that was like, that was a lot. I think we covered my whole life in an hour session. She was like, I'll come back to you next week. and at first I was a little bit like you talked a minute ago, not disappointed, but I thought she was going to help me
and say something profound.
Yes.
And that's not really what it is.
No. And so, and same, I went through a couple traumas, and I talked about it in the previous episode with Patsy. I don't have a problem talking about it. It happened, and it's behind me. I was raped when I was in Belgium, and that's something that I talked to my therapist almost like it happened, and and she was like, no, and then I moved on to another phase of my life, and she was like, let's just go back.
Sure.
And so and sometimes you kind of you just compartmentalize stuff, and it's okay to do that to protect yourself.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of people do that in this generation, because I also wanted to touch really quick in, I think both of us, when we grew up, we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
And we were in the generation where we only had, I think it was probably the same in America, but in Belgium I had a plan where I only had 300 texts for the month. Yep. And so you had to be very, specific in who you were texting and what you were texting. You couldn't text K because it was
you
one
weren't going to waste that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And so, but also, I was so grateful to grow up without that, and without where I was bullied in school, and so I was so lucky because then the bullying stayed in school.
Yeah,
it never followed me home, and I think if I grew up nowadays,
it'd be tougher. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know how I would survive it, and so yeah. How was it for you?
As far as growing up without technology, I feel like I just keep saying that I'm fortunate because I am. Yeah. I wasn't bullied. I was an athlete. And that's okay. I was an athlete growing up.
There we go. But you were not the bully, though.
No, I wasn't. Okay. I had again, I still have some of the same friends that I grew up with. Still small town stuff. I didn't have a cell phone until I was 18, and I wasn't texting until I was in college, so 1920. So there's a whole lot of time before cell phones and social media and things like that. I definitely think things would have been different growing up and just comparing ourselves to other things and trying to live up to those types of things. But my adolescence all the way through college was mostly positive in almost every way that it could be. Obviously, there's things that have happened. My mom left when I was 7. I actually moved out of my house into my uncle's house when I was 15 when my dad remarried. So those things are traumatic, right? They are traumatic. But there was just a constant line of support that made those things easier for someone like me to work through. Whereas if I didn't, those things could have my life would have been completely different. I would have made different decisions. Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to process it as easily. I could have, would have done who knows what. And you see it with kids all the time that lash out and things like that. I never needed or had to do that. And then as soon as I got into college, I'm lucky enough that I had the foresight to start going to therapy on my own. I don't even know, maybe just because I was a psych undergrad that I was in tune to that, that allowed me to continue through because it's just hard to do on your own.
Oh, yeah.
Life in general is hard to do on your own.
Yeah.
So makes a big difference when you have support all the way around you.
Well, you know what? I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
I mean, if you don't mind me asking, and if not, if you do, it's okay. Is your mom still around?
No, she passed away. She passed away close to 10 years, maybe 8 years ago. And then my dad passed away a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Yeah, but my mom left when I was younger.
Did you see her?
I didn't
after
really
that?
stay connected, not me personally. My older sisters did,
Okay.
but they spent more time growing up with her, so it made more sense. So yeah, that I didn't really have a great connection with her growing up. But again, I had so many other loving family members that never felt like a huge like thing that I was
Yeah.
carrying around at any time.
And by her leaving, did you? Because I feel like it's interesting. See, that's crazy. I always feel like I meet people that I have connections with in a way. But for me, like, my parents separated. I was 6, and so from there we were going. First, we were full time at my mom's, and we were going like every other Wednesday and every other weekend to my dad's, and then it became 1 week, and then it became reversed. I was main time at my dad's, and then we would go sporadically to my mom's, and all the way to when we stopped going.
Yeah.
All in all, but the thing is, because of that, I kind of always I feel like I always looked for a mother figure in every woman that would enter my life somehow. And I feel bad for a lot of them because, and most of them were really kind to me. And I have a lot of mother figures everywhere and everywhere I would go. And is it something that you also felt like when your mom left? Is it something that you were missing?
I don't think so, because I did have super strong older sisters that were significantly older that took really good care of us, and just I've always been prominent in my life, and I think I shifted that kind of need to them. And then aunts and different people in my life, there just was so much of that already. I don't think I had to like go too far to find it, if that makes sense. So, and that's partly why I started going to see a therapist when I first did, is to work through these things, to make sure, to say things out loud and work through it with somebody who has the experience that I didn't have with other clients, and the knowledge and the education to help guide me. Because there were instances where like abandonment and things like that would come up, because it's almost impossible for that not to be something you carry to at least a degree when a parent leaves, right? But again, it was so well communicated, and I had the information and the education and the knowledge that I think that I was able to work through it. I don't want to say easier, just more efficiently than somebody that didn't go to therapy would, or somebody that didn't have the support around me would have. So all those things make a huge difference.
That's interesting too, because before I met Joshua, for me, like, I didn't have a whole lot of relationships, and I think also it's linked to that, because I mean, at some point my dad was like, "Oh my God, are you a lesbian? Or are you gonna end up with cats?" I was like, "Oh, cool." And it's funny because now it's so much more liberated, and I'm like, "And what if I was?
Sure.
What's wrong with that?" But and but also I think also because of that abandonment type of things, just because for me, like, well, it's another conversation, but she didn't my mom didn't abandon me, but she had her own like struggles, and I think that took more space in her life at that point than her motherhood. And so every time I would have a boyfriend for like 5 minutes, I would be like, okay, I want 5 kids, and I want to get married, and I would do that. And I was like 15, and it's like, oh, and so that's why I only dated always for like 5 minutes and a half, because guys were like, make the same face you just did, and we'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or because I had so many responsibilities at home that I was like, like everybody, it's funny because every time I would go to school, like everybody was like laughing and stuff. And for me, I always got to school like sweating because I had to drop my brothers and sisters at school
Yep.
before I went to school.
Yep.
And so I was always racing and I was red and everybody was like, oh, did you go to the sauna or whatever? And I was like, oh, haha, not
Yeah,
funny, but all right.
yeah.
And then when I went back home after school, I was like, okay, helping with laundry and making food and then getting ready. And everybody was like playing games and putting stuff on Skyblog and stuff like that. And I didn't have time for that. It's
So
almost
you had
like,
to grow up faster than all
yes.
of them. Yeah.
But that led me to, unfortunately, not having a whole lot of relationships because I didn't have time, and then all the boys in my class were like, or the ones I was in love with, like, were not interested in me, and then this and that. But then when I was kicked out of my house, found my parents' house, all of a sudden I had that freedom, and I would go out all the time, and that's when that unfortunate event happened.
Gotcha.
But I gave and see, that's why you were saying earlier that I feel like I should have done at that point, but I've always given. And so for me, like, I had this job I was being paid really well at P&G, and so all of a sudden I had a lot of friends because I would always invite people out in my studio, and I would always buy for drinks, and when we would go eat, I would always be the one paying because I was used to that growing up with my family, like just helping and stuff. And so I feel like in my life, I always wanted to be in a relationship, but I wasn't in the right mindset.
Yeah.
And I guess where I'm going with this is, I know that you say you don't have time and stuff, but is it more like you feel like you kind of like let it slip that relationship part of like,
Oh, I'm sure.
or is it something that you're more like, I don't have time, I don't have the mental energy right now, and I just will think about that later?
We talk about it a lot, me and my therapist, right? Because it is a significant thing. But I come at it that I could have a relationship tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I wanted just to have a relationship. I don't think it's fair in a lot of ways in the scenario that I'm in to just force a relationship to happen.
Okay.
Like, I'm not afraid of commitment in any way. Like, and I have a lot of great people in my life. So like, it just doesn't feel like it's a fair scenario for me to put somebody into. Now, what they would say is, well, that's really up to them. It's not up to you to protect them from your schedule. Right. But I just don't want to even live in that world where that's what I'm worried about. So does some of this stem from things that have happened in my life? Yeah, that's how our mind works. Of course it does. You'd be a fool to think otherwise. But I'm also so fulfilled right now, and I'm so genuinely happy that it just doesn't, it's not one of those things that I'm driven to do. If I was, then I probably would have somebody that
it's not like a hole in your life
No.
that you feel you need to
fill. No, not at all. No.
Okay.
And I think I have in the past, like years ago, let society dictate that and put that pressure on me too, that's what successful people did.
Right.
And it was like having another job for me. And I was super unhappy.
Oh yeah.
With the whole thing, not with her.
No, yeah.
Not with her necessarily. She was great.
Yeah.
But there was just this whole, like, so many things going on in my life. I didn't feel like I could really execute at the level that I wanted to, and I was just not fulfilled. So I just am not going to go through that again.
Yeah.
So when that comes back around, and I'm sure it will, that's when I'll engage in that sort of thing.
And see, that's a little frustrating too, because in a way, like I'm in a relationship. I'm married with Joshua. Now we have one baby. And so once we were married, it was the question of, oh, when are you going to have a baby? And
sure, yeah.
I had given birth to my son 5 minutes, and I've already had the question of, oh, when is the second one?
Yeah, right.
And it's like, whoa. It's like, and I feel like that's the constant like questions. And I know people don't mean wrong, and me asking you, it's none of my business, but we're here talking about you.
Sure,
and it's the spotlight is on you, and relationships are like part of it, but so it's none of my business. And to me, like, I have an aunt that never had a boyfriend, and she's happy, and she's like doing her own thing,
right?
And who am I, or who is society to judge her and say, oh, so she's just gonna be the single lady all her life, and then
right.
she's
if
never
she's
gonna
enjoying it, let her go.
Right. And so, I feel like also now people are okay more with just people living their life to the fullest. They want to live it
Yeah.
too. And it's not, like we said, it's not there is no American dream. Yes and no, in the sense that I feel like the American dream nowadays is not especially just having a dog and the white picket fence and
Yeah.
a house. And, it's what you make of it
Right.
too.
Yeah. I agree.
And the people you surround yourself with, I think, is a really important part of it. But see, and it's funny, like coming back around to this question from
Right.
Patsy about where do you go when you die. I remember her answering it as she was writing it and saying that for her, she wasn't afraid of death because she knew she was going to go back to God. And
Right.
she was so at peace with that. And it made me think about it because I was almost like admiring her for it.
Yeah.
She truly like felt like she was like, oh yeah, and then I'm gonna go and meet because I believe was her sister that lost a child, and
Sure.
she cared for that child, and she was like, I'm gonna go and be with my nephew and
Yeah.
and all that, and just be surrounded with God and love and all that. And in a way I was a little jealous because I
Yeah.
don't have that same feeling as her.
Yeah.
I am scared to death to die.
Yeah.
But so not knowing where you're going, is it something that scares you at all?
No, not now,
No?
but I think it could later. I don't know. I think that's how some people end up religious as they're older, because they are scared and they're trying to find a pathway for the next thing. I don't think that's what I would do. So no, I'm very into right now and today and the things we get to do and the experiences I get to have.
Yeah.
And, I don't worry too much about that.
That's good. To me, I've been thinking about that lately just because I named my son Jean-Pierre, and I wanted to name him Jean, but Jean here in America is a feminine name, is Jean.
Oh,
So I couldn't name him Jean.
Yeah.
So, and then we loved the name Jean-Pierre, and so kind of made a compromise in there. But he's mainly named after my great-great-grandfather, whose name was Jean. His wife was named Marie, and that's who I was named after.
yeah.
And funny enough, she didn't seem to be a very nice lady, but he seemed to be a very nice guy.
Okay.
But I have like a couple pictures of him, and he actually was in the artillery in World War One.
Okay.
And there's like insane images of him on a horse and stuff, and those pictures are 100 years old. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and to me, it's almost like mind-blowing that there's like a whole other generation from my own family, but from like everybody's family
Yep.
that lived and probably had the same struggle as us.
Yeah.
And they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
and that's why also, I want to say, because I don't do it, so that's why I want to say it, to maybe try to listen to myself also.
Yeah.
Is let's please try to stop stressing about ridiculous stuff
Things that don't matter. Yeah.
that in 100 years people are not even like gonna
No.
remember about us. And it's
Yeah.
funny because they're gonna look back and they're gonna see all the like filtered pictures of like the dog filter stuff.
Yeah,
and
right. And that's
look
gonna-
back at us and laugh a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes then I think and I'm like, what do I want to be remembered for? And so what would you want to be
That's a
remembered
totally
for?
different question. I don't
Right.
even think about that, honestly. I think that question gave me anxiety just right off the bat, because
I'm
that's-
sorry.
No, it's not your fault.
But yeah.
Because it's just not the way I look at things
Mm-hmm.
just in general. And I think that kind of mentality makes it harder.
Yeah.
Like, again,
That is true.
I think the baseline of this whole interview is like, I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't want to like base my life off what I'm supposed to be or what's supposed to happen or what those things. I really enjoy living in the moment and making decisions as I go through. And what I remember, I mean, as long as I'm doing good and putting good out into the world, I think that will lend itself
Yeah.
to however people want to remember me. But as long as the interactions are positive and I get to keep doing the things I'm doing, that stuff will work itself out.
And thank you, because I think that's personally in my personal life. Something I do a lot is putting a lot of pressure.
Right.
And circumstances happen that I were to think. I was thinking about him, and it's so crazy because like a teeny tiny story about that is, he had a store in Brussels, and it was a beautiful store. I have pictures of it, and it's like with like tapestry, and he was like selling a lot, and it like his son, my grandpa, he was even like the personal. Do you say tapestrist? I don't think so. But
So
of the king in Belgium, and it's like
Oh.
we have a crazy story. But however, my grandpa just ended up marrying. So he was married to my grandma, and then he divorced her and married another lady. Then he put everything on her name, and then once he did, the lady said, "Okay, bye." And so all the wealth from my family
went with her.
is just gone. And
Oh, I
so
see.
and it's okay. Well, but it's
Yeah.
like, oh, we have I have a great uncle that was a diplomat for Belgium, and
Oh, wow.
I just went to see him over the Christmas, and we went to his house, and it's like a museum of like artifact from whatever country. And it's
Yeah.
like, and my son was walking around, and I was like, ah. So and so I kind of like in the past few years I was reminded of a lot of my the people lived
Yeah.
before me, and so all of a sudden it's like kind of like makes you think about yourself. But I think you have the right mentality, because at the end of the day, what can we do? It's like you can only do things that you have an impact on right now.
Yeah.
And you can think about the future. You can think about like a week from now, 6 months from now, or 5 years, but what good does it do if because life is unpredictable.
And don't get me wrong, I don't. Anybody that does have a clear plan and they want to execute a certain way,
you
for
probably
it.
can, but
Yeah, but for me, that's just not how I've
yeah.
ever had that mentality. It's hard for me to do it that way. So I'm just different in that way than most people.
But I think you're special.
Oh, thank you.
And I really appreciate you coming to talk to me today.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, write under your name. If I know it's a difficult exercise, but if you feel like you have a question that you would ask the next guest, even though you already know who it's going to be, but it can be something that you think could be targeted for her, or just a question that
Do
comes
I
to
just
your
write
mind.
it down, or do I got to
Yes.
say it out loud for the
You
people?
can do both, or you can just keep it a secret. It's
I think it is. This exercise is a little more difficult because I know exactly who your
I
next
know.
guest is. So I want to ask a question specifically for her, but because I know what she's done, and I know what her family's built, and the success they've created, and how hardworking she is, and all those things. So
she's incredible.
yeah, she is a
Very
like a
inspiring
1%er
person.
as far as drive goes, for sure. Yeah, so I think I'll just write it
Yes, that's
and
fine.
leave it up, and then people will have to listen to the next episode to
Yes.
know what I
Perfect.
asked.
Nice. Thank you so much, Josh.
Yeah.
And I wish you all what you would want me to wish you for the future. And I feel like we'll still be in each other's life, because I don't
Yeah.
think your friendship with Joshua is anywhere from,
No, he's one of the
done, or-
best people I know, for sure.
So, and I think, well, of course, I think it's likewise for you. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
And,
thanks for having me. It was fun.
see you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you so
cheers.
much for listening and for watching for the first time. And hopefully you keep watching us. And if you want to be part of this podcast, please reach out. And I would love to have you for a conversation about your life. You have a good one. Bye-bye.